Looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear-facing, forward-facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There's only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more.
Get a rest!
No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days, they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen?
Play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouths.
Yay!
Man, can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks and Speedy Beatty.
You're not even a has-been.
You're a never was. You're a never was.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, as you know. This is another show of the Sports Loudmouths. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can call us at 631-672-3108. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio. Network. Speedy.
Yeah, well, that sounds about right. Trying to figure out a nickname for me while throwing some weird scenarios on me before off air. Yeah, you got me started, all right.
Well, hold on one second. These aren't weird scenarios. I think there's a lot to do with the conversations that we have off air.
Nope.
Yes, there is. I think the conversations that we have are great.
Yeah.
You just don't want to talk about it on live air because you'd be ashamed of it, right?
Of course. I think the last person we were just referencing, whoever knows, would probably think the same thing.
Well, who were we referencing?
Mr. Ashley Sarge.
Oh, Ashley Sarge, the great one, the one-legged man, yes. Ashley Sarge. But I miss Ashley. I really do. Talking hockey with Ash. The last time I saw Ashley Sarge was at, I think it was like 2.5, 3 years ago. When was the last time the Boston Bruins went to the Stanley Cup Final?
Yeah, 2019.
2019
was the last Stanley Cup.
Was the last time I saw Ashley.
Was that the time you hid his prosthetic?
No, that was a year before that. That was at the draft.
That was at the draft.
The Dallas draft.
Okay,
I think it
gotcha.
was. Yes, that was the last time I did something very mean to Ashley Sarge, but
Your
it was
prankster
funny.
side came out.
It was funny. My prankster side is always out. Okay,
That's fair.
I always like to prank people. I all in good fun. Ashley knows me to be a little crazy, a little weird, but after Vancouver, I think Ashley has done enough to me. Okay, all right. So Ashley made me go. Before we get into the show, we have a great show lined up for everybody. Ashley and in Vancouver, I met him. He got into Vancouver a little bit before I did on a plane. And I took a day or 24 hours to meet him in Vancouver. I told him to find a good hotel. So to make a long story short, I get in. Ashley tells me, gives me the address where I have to meet him. It took me forever to get a taxi or an Uber or whatever it was. He took me to a 7-Eleven, which, by the way, 2 or 3 people that were in 7-Eleven were barefooted, which is weird in Vancouver. And then within a couple of blocks, I pull up to a place that had graffiti all over the wall. And I'm like, what the hell is this place? And I actually had to come down and invite me in. The place was, what do they call it? A backpacking district where a bunch of people that are backpacking live in this little place. He stayed in this little room with one bed.
What is it, some kind of club or cult or something?
I have no idea. One shower, by the way, and I took a shower with my socks on.
Oh, jeez.
And I told him we are not staying here for the weekend for the NHL draft. He says there's no other rooms, there's no motels, there's no hotels around here they're all packed because of all the NHL players or young kids that are getting drafted. And I said, you know what? Well, then we're going to go on the outskirts of Vancouver, and we're going to find, and we did. We found a place which is connected to the railroad over there, which got us back into the city. But he's so cheap. I'll tell you right now.
I'm sure you would have rather stayed in a fishing boat, a houseboat.
It was
than
horrible.
That place.
It was horrible, ladies and gentlemen. I will never do that again. I will never let Ashley Sarge ever pick a hotel or motel for us. So that's my story with Ashley Sarge. So.
I could not picture him hanging out with a backpacking club or cult.
It's not a what they do, these backpacking, people, they go to different states, they go to different countries, and they stay in these like little motels where all these people, they just rent out a room and they share the same bathroom. Could you imagine on one floor, 8 people, 10 people living on the same floor, one toilet, one bathroom, one shower.
Wow.
Okay.
Jeez.
That's what Ashley brought me in Vancouver. Okay. After the first night I was there, I fell asleep on a chair. I woke up and I said, dude, if we don't get out of here, I'm going to go crazy. And I found a place. It took me a little while, but I found a nice place, a nice hotel inn, which actually had breakfast in the morning, which Ashley wanted to reap the benefits from that because he didn't want to go and buy breakfast. But that's Ashley Sarge, ladies and gentlemen.
He went to steal food. That sounds like him.
Anyways, we have a great show lined up for you guys. At 10 o'clock, we will be talking to Put On Waivers, NFL Draft, and Raiders analyst Ryan Holmes. And at 10:30, we'll be talking to Woodward Sports DFS and fantasy analyst Chris Detroit Beastie DeBacker. Okay, and I don't know why you gave me all that, Speedy, but
Detroit Beastie is his nickname and his Twitter handle.
I don't have to call him Detroit Beastie. I'll just call him Chris DeBacker. Okay, he's been on a show. If you guys don't remember him, he's fantastic.
Yep, it was right before the Stafford trade, or right after the Stafford trade, and he's a Lions fan. You guys were both saying how the Lions fleeced the Rams in that trade, and
they did.
They were on a Super Bowl, so we'll see how he feels about it now.
They still did.
No, they still did well.
Anyways, we are going to get into Sidney Crosby potentially being out with an upper body injury. So Sid gets hurt last night by Trouba. He could be out for the rest of this series, could be out for the rest of the playoffs. Nobody, and the Pittsburgh Penguins aren't giving any information on what's going on with Sid the kid. We'll get into the NHL Draft Lottery. The Canadians win the draft. The Devils, again, in the top 5. Makes no sense, but it just shows you how these lotteries don't make sense. They're going to be drafting at 2. I mean, this is the Rangers and the Devils in the last 5 years are going to have the opportunity to draft the number 1 pick and the number 2 pick.
The Kings got it too. Number 2 twice as well.
It's crazy. It really is. It's crazy. But we'll get into that in just a few moments. NBA playoff updates, which we'll get into, obviously with the Phoenix series, the Philadelphia series, the Milwaukee series from last night as they take a 3-2 lead against, yes, Jeff, your Celtics. And he said they play like crap, by the way, but we'll get into that. Also, a story coming out that the Heat could Heat join? What is this?
The Heat might be in the running for Donovan Mitchell as well. They've expressed
Why would
interest.
you put that there? It doesn't make any sense the way you posted it on my pad, okay? So everybody knows that the Heat would be interested in Donovan Mitchell, okay? We know Pat Riley likes to go after stars. I don't know if they're going to have enough to get Donovan Mitchell. Remember, they have a lot of contracts. They could move. Victor Oladipo is a free agent at the end of the season, so I do think they might have a room for Donovan Mitchell. But what are they willing to give up? That's the question. Are they going to give up Tyler Hero? Are they going to give up one of these guys that they've built their team around? I don't know if they're going to do that. I do believe the Heat are going to be interested in them. And Dwayne Wade running obviously he's a part owner of that organization. I could see Dwayne, trying to give the Heat a little bone.
Like Derek Jeter did with the Stanton trade.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But I do believe there's quite a few other teams interested in Donovan Mitchell. It's not just going to be the Knicks and the Miami Heat. It's whoever's going to give the Utah Jazz what they absolutely want to make that deal happen. We'll get into the NHL playoffs as well. Jeudy arrested, not charged yet, involved in a criminal tampering domestic case. A very interesting story. Before the show started, I was reading a little bit about it, and I'm not surprised. I mean, look at all these Alabama wide receivers. I mean, one of them got arrested last year for it could be in jail for the next 10 to 20 years of his career or life. Could go to jail for life. Who knows? After killing somebody, drinking and driving, and hurting his girlfriend or whoever he was with. This is not as bad. I mean, obviously, he could be suspended by the NFL. He probably will. He'll get out of this. I do believe he'll get out of this but if it is a domestic violence case, he's going to be suspended for a significant amount of time. But I don't know the whole story. Again, I've been reading a little bits and pieces of the story. The full story is not even out.
No, the full story only the only part of the story came out from the Denver police or state government or whatever it was on Twitter. And then that's all they really know is it's just he was involved somehow, but they didn't press any charges yet.
And obviously the new NFL schedules were released today. So if you're an NFL fan, if you're a fan of your teams, we'll go over that at the end of the show. I think there's a lot of interesting things that could happen this year. And absolutely in December and January before the playoffs start, how many games could really cost some of these teams to not make the playoffs? So we'll get into that a little bit later. But why don't we get into the Sidney Crosby in the NHL? Because obviously this is a story, and we'll put the Beef on. I know the Beef wants to come on, and he's got his own thoughts, and we'll put him on in a few minutes. So Beef, just hold on. We'll put you through. I want to get into the Sidney Crosby thing, because I know a lot of Ranger fans sitting here today think the reason why the Rangers won game number 5 was because Sidney Crosby got hurt. And I understand that Sidney Crosby is a dangerous player. He's a sensational player, one of the more hated players in the NHL, but one of the more talented players. And we've seen what Sidney Crosby has done in this playoff series. But one player, ladies and gentlemen, is not going to cost the Penguins from losing this series. What really happened in that series in the second period with 2.5 minutes left of that second period was Domingue is just that bad. And I don't know. I don't understand how the Rangers didn't figure out Domingue in the last game. This guy is a third-string goalie. He shouldn't even be on this roster. He's a cook. I was reading a story that he's an unbelievable cook. He's a chef, and that's what he wants to do when he retires from hockey, is be a cook. He's probably a better chef than he is as a hockey player. What we've seen in this series is, yes, Sidney Crosby has played well. Malkin has played well. Letang has played well. Anybody in the net was playing well. Jari's going to be back probably the next game tomorrow. He might start tomorrow. Is that an advantage for the Penguins? No, because I think the weakest part of this Penguin team is their goaltending. But Sidney Crosby getting hurt for a significant amount of time, does it hurt them in this series? No. If they win this series and they get out of this series, does it hurt them in the next series where they have to play Carolina or the Boston Bruins? Yes. Right now, the Rangers have always been the better team in this series. They have the most talent. They have arguably a Norris Trophy winner on this team for this year. He won last year. They have a Vezina Trophy winner. Probably is going to win Goalie of the Year. Their defense has been top 3 in the league, team-wise, throughout the NHL season. Their coach is probably going to win Coach of the Year for what he has done in his first year as the New York Rangers coach. Heck, even Chris Drury could win Manager of the Year. Who would have thought that? With some of the acquisitions he made at the trade deadline. But the facts are, the New York Rangers have not played well in this series. They have not. Shesterkin has not played well in this series. I know a lot of Ranger fans are going to sit here and tell me, oh, it's because of the defense. You can't blame Shesterkin. Guys, I'm going to say this again. I played hockey. The goaltender is the last line of defense. We have seen bad defenses over the years win Stanley Cups because of a hot goalie. And I'm not putting Shesterkin down. I don't think Shesterkin is a bad goalie. I just don't know if he can handle the pressure of the playoffs. And being that you're playing in New York, and being that you're looked at as the aggressive and more talented team in this series, you should be playing better than you have in this series. And Shesterkin, I don't care what Tyler says. I don't care what the Beef says. I don't care what any Ranger fan has that has reached out on me on and leached. What's the word?
Contacted.
I'm trying to figure out the best word. Attacked me on social media, telling me that I'm a Ranger hater and I don't know what I'm talking about. When a goaltender who throughout the season had a 2.07 goals against average the whole season, and right now in the playoffs has a goals against average over 4, that is not good, ladies and gentlemen. That is not good. All right, let's put the Beav on. Beav, what's going on, bud?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. What would you like to talk about?
First things first, I want to give a shout out to my friend. He just lost his dad. Tough loss for him.
Very sorry, man.
Feel bad for one of my really good friends since I know since kindergarten. So
Jamie Lee.
Jamie Lee Curtis, you know him.
Jamie Lee Kurt. I feel so bad for him. I saw him at your birthday party. You could tell when we brought up his father, he was very upset, and his father had pancreatic cancer. It's It's a cancer that usually gets you pretty quick. And his father's been fighting it with chemo and all that other stuff. And it's a sad situation. And I really feel bad for him. I can only imagine. I do. I had this happen to me 6 years ago with my father, not from cancer, but from something else. And I know what it's like to lose a parent. He's lost both his parents now. So my heart goes out to him and his family and his brothers.
Yep, absolutely. I just want to give him a shout out. So, but
anyways, let's get into your Rangers. We're talking about Sid the Kid.
Yes.
He could be out for the rest of this series, could be out for the rest of the playoffs, they're saying. Nobody knows, and I don't think...
They say it's an upper body injury, but they're not giving any details.
No, they're not. You know why? Because an upper body injury is a significant injury. Because anybody that knows, when you play hockey, okay, yes, you're using your legs, but all your power comes from your waist up, okay? And I know everybody says that, but you're using your arms, you're using your legs, you're using everything. And when you have an upper body problem, if you have a lat problem, you have a torso problem, a core problem, it could absolutely cause you to not be able to do the things that you do good. And Sidney Crosby, he's a great player. He's a sensational player, but I think this is a significant injury. I don't think you're going to see him the rest of this series. Does that mean the Rangers they have the advantage in the series? I don't think one player is going to make a difference on this Penguins team.
It's a huge reason why the Rangers won that game.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
because
not.
They were doing. Crosby was shutting them down. Rangers couldn't.
Sidney Crosby's one player. No. Mike, he's one player.
As soon as he came off the ice, that's when the Rangers started scoring.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a serious question. Is Sidney Crosby a good defensive player?
Is he a good defensive player?
Is he a good defensive player?
I would say not really.
No. So let me ask you this question. Even if he was on the ice or not on the ice, why would it matter?
Because he can control the puck.
He could control the puck. So you think he controls the puck that long in the game, especially? How many, Speedy, go look at how long Sidney Crosby controls the puck in a game. I would bet you he plays maybe, I would say 32 minutes in a game, and he probably controls the puck 22 minutes in a game. 23 minutes.
I'm just saying, with him on the ice, he's just...
One player can't change anything.
Yes, it does.
Goaltending, it does. Goaltending. The only position in hockey that I think could affect a team is goaltending. That's the only position. Just like pitching in baseball.
They never would have won that game if Crosby was in that game for the rest of the game.
Never would have won it. Honestly, how would you know that?
Because I just know. I know how the Rangers were playing.
You just know? Is that's your answer? You just know.
Crosby was shutting them down.
Crosby, how is he shutting them down when he's not a good defensive player? I don't understand that.
Because he didn't have to play. He made the passes. He controlled the puck. He just
Sidney Crosby is not the reason why the Rangers are losing this series right now.
I'm not saying that's the reason.
The reason why the Rangers aren't winning this series right now is their defense. 1 and 2. Shesterkin, as good as he is, and how great he was as a goalie in the regular season, he just hasn't been that type of goalie in the playoffs.
Shesterkin let up some bad goals. Yes,
horrible.
It's more the defense than anything else.
That's not true. The last line of defense.
It's the defense. It's they can't win faceoffs. They turn over the puck in their own zone. So I don't want to hear it about Shesterkin. I'm sorry, it's not him at all.
How many goals does Shesterkin give up in this series? Speedy, do you know how many goals?
16. Or no, 18.
18 goals in how many games?
Okay,
Speedy? 5 games. 18 goals. So what's the goals against average with 5 games? 18 goals. What is
it? Was 4.23 going into the game 4. I'm not sure what it was after that, or going into game 5. So it's probably dropped to the high 3s.
3.93.
Yeah, but those numbers are deceiving.
How is it deceiving, please?
Because the defense let up those goals also. So it's not all Shesterkin. Sorry, it's not.
I think a lot of them in game 4 were, but there were some in game 3 that he definitely could have.
When you're turning over the puck and Fox made a huge mistake the other night.
No, that was the worst game of Fox's career.
And then he leaves Shesterkin 2-on-1. 90% of the time, when you have 2-on-1, the team is scoring a goal. I'm sorry.
That's fair. Fox had his worst game in game 4 that I've ever seen him play.
So it's not all Shesterkin.
I didn't say it was all Shesterkin. I think most of the ones in game 4, I agree with you, but game 3, there were definitely a lot of them in the second period.
When he's getting screened and the Penguin guy just puts a stick in the air and the puck hits it, deflects it, he can't stop that.
But there was
goalie's
also one
stopping
off of his back and in. There was the
Well,
one that
that
went
was-
that one that
yes.
was in off the side of the net in Game 4 that they overturned
Listen,
the first
I'm
Penguins
not,
goal.
I'm not saying that Shesterkin has been playing well, but he has let in some bad goals, but it's not all him.
But the problem is, they have to trust him to play well because of the way this team
No, the problem
built.
is the defense plays too lax when Shesterkin.
They do. I'm not denying that they haven't played physical enough either
And they
against
did
a
the
team
same
again
thing-
the
and they did
Penguins
the
that aren't
same
overly
thing with
physical.
Lundqvist. They did the same thing with Lundqvist.
Listen,
They played too lax.
first of all, and don't compare Shesterkin to Henrik Lundqvist because he's not. He's not. The Rangers have had terrible defense in front of Henrik Lundqvist, and he took them all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. He has taken them all the way to Stanley Cup Final. The way Shesterkin has played, I'm sorry. The way so what? So is Sorokin. Sorokin, his goals against average in the playoffs last year was what? 1.63? 1.73?
Right. He had that one bad game against the Lightning, but played great beyond
He
that.
completely shut down the Boston Bruins in that series.
Oh, yeah.
The hot Boston Bruins team that was going into the playoffs as a favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference.
No one's comparing.
I'm not, but I'm saying he was a rookie. He was a rookie. How many other goaltenders we've seen that were rookies that got into the playoffs and didn't make that excuse that the defense was there? Look at this, Swayman. He's a rookie player right now for the Boston Bruins.
But first of all, the Islanders have a better defense than the Rangers.
Okay.
Hold on one second. And I'm good. I do believe they're the better all-around defensive team. No question. They have the better defensive players. Right now, this year, at the end of the season, the Rangers were ranked second in goals against average in all of the league.
I understand that, but I'm still saying the defense was too weak. I said it all
They're
along.
too weak in the playoffs. They're not built. They need bruisers. They don't have any bruisers. They don't have anybody defensively.
My point.
JT Miller, it might be the biggest bruiser. Him and Trouba are probably the bruisers of this defense. And JT Miller, let's be honest, he's a good player. He's fun to watch. He still has a lot of learning to do. And Trouba stinks.
He's playing the best.
Trouba stinks.
Playing the best.
No, Fox has been playing the best.
Well,
Fox has been playing the best. He has 3 goals as a defenseman. I mean, a defenseman has 3 goals in a series. That's pretty damn good.
I would say defensively, Miller and probably Braden Schneider have played well. Fox is playing all right, but still has had more duds than usual for somebody of his caliber. And everyone else has really struggled.
Fox has made a lot of errors.
The reason why the Rangers are losing this series, and I don't care what you say, is just Shesterkin. I've watched this series. I've watched this series. I've been watching this series. He's
You're 100% wrong.
Every game he gives up 1 or 2 bad goals.
You're 100% wrong.
How? Explain to me. You're going to tell me how many goals did we see bounce off of Shesterkin's pad, his glove, go between his legs into the net? How many times have we seen this in this series? 3, 4 times? I mean, you're a top-end goalie in the league. You're the number 1 goalie in the league. You're going to win the Vezina Trophy this year, and you're going to give up bad goals like that as a rookie? That isn't an excuse. That's an excuse. Yeah, you and Tyler are funny.
You go watch the games again.
I'm watching the games. I'm watching the games right now.
Then you need a pair of glasses.
A pair of glasses? I need a pair of binoculars when I have to deal with you and Tyler. Seriously.
Yeah, well, no. First of all, Tyler's an idiot because he thinks Trouba's a great player, which is out of his
Well, he also thinks Shesterkin has just like you, doesn't believe he should be blamed. Okay?
No, I'm not. But what I'm saying is, it's not all his fault. That's what I'm saying.
I would say it's 60% his fault. 60.
I wouldn't go that high.
He's the goalie.
I go 50-50.
He's the goalie, Mike.
The defense is not playing well. They're not playing well.
Mike, do you remember who Dominic Hasek is?
Yes.
Do you remember what he did when he played on Buffalo?
Vaguely.
I do. Okay. Dominic Hasek played on the Buffalo Sabres. All right. At the time, they were a bruising team. Their defense was not good. They had a couple of decent players on the team. I mean, they had Michael Pekka. They had different people on the team that played good offensive, defensive players, but they weren't an all-around good defensive team. They were like the Rangers, okay? Dominic Hasek, year in and year out, stood on his head to take his team to the Eastern Conference Championship, take his team to this, take him to that. Eddie Belfour, remember him? Remember Eddie?
Belfour, yep.
Eddie Belfour. Do you remember what he did with the Chicago Blackhawks? Do you remember that? Now, the only defenseman on that Chicago Blackhawks team that was half decent was Chris Chelios. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That defense, that year when they won the Stanley Cup, when Eddie Belfour won the Stanley Cup, that defense was not great. Eddie Belfour saved them many, many times in series after series after series.
And how old was he at that time?
What do you mean? He was young when he won the Stanley Cup. He was young.
How many years? How many years was he in the league?
That was probably his first time in the playoffs. He was in the league for like 2 years.
No, when he won the cup, 3 years, 3 years.
It was 2 years.
It was early in his career,
and he won the cup like in his first 2 or 3 years, and he never went to the playoffs until that time. That was the first time he was in the playoffs, and he won a Stanley Cup. Okay, there's no excuse.
I'm not making an excuse. What I'm saying is it's not all his fault. That's what I'm saying.
Snuck says he shoots, he scores. Boston up 3-1. Donovan Mitchell
4-1.
case.
Boston's up 4-1.
Yeah, 4-1 now. Donovan Mitchell is a head case and a cancer. Carlson is Duncan Robinson, biggest contract for an undrafted player. Hashtag ban the Beeve. Sorry to hear this, Ben. Ben had a death in the family as well. My uncle passed away from liver cancer. Very sorry for your loss, Ben.
What I'm saying, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Speedy. I'll say this again. When you go to the playoffs, the most important position on each team is one position, and that's goaltending. If you have a good goalie, you'll go. There's a very good chance you're going to win that series.
Yeah, but
a very good chance.
You can have a hot goalie and still win too, even though the goalie's not good. He could be really hot.
Okay, so tell me a year where a goalie wasn't good and he got hot. Tell me a year.
Back and look, off the top of my head, I can't.
I'll tell you this right now. The last time I remember that happened was with Anaheim. It was Anaheim that took.
Oh, Giguere. Yeah.
Yes, that was the only goaltender I could remember that got hot in the playoffs. He wasn't a great goalie; he was a decent goalie, and never. Don't say Tuukka Rask because he's a great playoff goalie.
I would have said Matt Murray, the last first Penguin.
Murray was one of the. By the way, he did it back-to-back years.
Yes, he did,
and he was a rookie. Okay, and he's not even anywhere close to the player that Shesterkin is.
No.
Yeah, but you always said if you get a hot goaltender, you can go all the way.
Yeah, but those kinds of things are very random, though, too.
I understand that.
It
happens.
Giguere was one example. Murray was another, and the rest of them have at least been not necessarily all top goalies, but at least like above average, solid caliber goalies that have won Stanley Cups. It really hasn't been anyone that fluky like you're seeing now with Louis Domingue, and then even just recently too with all
Jonathan Quick too.
Goals.
Carl's right. Jonathan Quick too, rookie goalie. He won a Stanley. He was like what? That was his second year in the NHL, and he won a Stanley Cup. What I'm trying to say to you, Beeve, is you cannot make this excuse for Shesterkin. He has been bad in this series, and if the Rangers were going to win this series, it doesn't matter how good and how veteran-like the Pittsburgh Penguins are. If you have a better goaltending, which they do, Shesterkin is way better than Jeudy. He's way better than any of the goalies that they have. Why are they winning this series with a third-string goalie? Why is that?
Because the Rangers can't put the puck in the net, and they can't win faceoffs. They're not forechecking.
And they're giving up 3 to 4 goals a game.
And they're turning over the puck.
I understand that. And that's why you have a goalie. That's why you have a goalie.
Yeah, but it's not all Shesterkin's
Did you ever remember
what
when Team USA won? They beat the Soviet Union?
Yes.
Why did they win that championship?
For goaltending?
Jimmy Craig. Okay. Jimmy Craig was the reason why they won that gold medal. And that's why they beat the Soviet Union. Okay. Nobody thought they had any chance. It was one of the greatest wins in sports history. Okay, when they beat the Soviet Union. And that's what I mean. If you have good goaltending, you can win. There's no excuse behind any of this.
I'm not making the excuse.
Right now, you want to know why the Boston Bruins fell behind in that series against Carolina? Goaltending. It was goaltending. They put the older goalie in. Who's the older goalie? Olmark was horrible the first 2 games. They pulled him. They put Swayman in, who's the young kid, and they've been winning ever since. Swayman has won, what, 3 out of the last 4 games? Yep. 3 out of the last 4 games. And he's one period away from, or almost done with the third period.
Right.
He's 1 period away from taking this team and his team to a Game 7. A rookie, a young kid.
He's won 3 goal, not being blown lead from that.
And who do you think Swayman's better than Shesterkin?
No. But everyone's trying to put all the blame on him, and it's not all him. That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to tell you this, and this is coming from a person that played hockey. When you have a star goaltender as good as Shesterkin, who's going to win a trophy this year as the best goalie in the NHL, there is no excuses. He is not a playoff goalie. And if he loses, Beef, if he loses next year, what is the excuse then? If they lose in this round, or they lose in the playoffs right now, and he has not played well, and then next year comes along and he doesn't play well again, what is the excuse then? It's the defense fault. It's the goaltending. It's the offense's fault.
We have to see.
No, Beef. Because
Yes,
Henrik Lundqvist in his career as a playoff goaltender is sensational. Bad defenses, bad offenses, he was always good. So don't sit here and tell me, it's because of the defense, it's because of the offense. It's not. It's because of him.
Now, yes, it is.
It's because of him.
Nope. Disagree.
Snuck says Rangers fans blaming the refs.
I love
like
you,
Beef,
but I think you're absolutely wrong.
Too, but
I think you're absolutely wrong on this.
I think you're off your cracker.
Off my cracker. The reason why the Rangers are losing this series right now has nothing to do with Sidney Crosby. It has everything to do with their defense, which is whack, and their goaltending, which is even more whack.
Maybe you're drinking something that's making you.
I'm drinking anything.
No, he only drinks once a year, Beef.
He knows that.
I know.
Wait, unless you're sneaking him some liquor we don't know about.
I wouldn't be drinking it. That's for sure.
Well, he actually took a half a shot on my birthday.
Yes, I did.
Oh, he did? Nice.
I did. I took a little sip. It wasn't a half a shot. It was a sip. I had a little sip of it.
But anyway,
I'm not the drinking type.
No, you're not. We all know that.
No.
Okay.
Snuck says,
but that hit on Crosby, that was a clean hit. I don't think that was a dirty hit. Trouba didn't mean to hurt Crosby at all.
Get out of here.
Whatsoever.
Get out of here. What are you, nuts?
He didn't. 100%.
Did you watch the video again?
Yes, I saw it.
And you telling me that Trouba didn't try to hurt Sidney Crosby?
First of all, Trouba's like 6'6" on skates.
Yes. And Sidney Crosby?
And Crosby's like, how tall is Crosby?
5'10"
on skates?
5'10".
5'8", 5'9", maybe?
5'10".
I don't know about that.
He's 5'10".
Yeah, he's up.
And when Trouba went for the hit, Sidney Crosby lowered his head.
He got his head out of the way, so he ended up hitting his shoulder and neck area type
Go
thing.
watch it again. So it was a clean hit.
Dude, I watched it on Sports Center. It wasn't a clean hit.
It was a clean hit.
Dude, it's not a clean hit. He
And
purposely tried,
Trouba
just like Carter tried to injure Shesterkin. He did. He tried to do. They did the same thing.
No,
Trouba did the same thing to Sidney Crosby.
That type of player to go out and hurt somebody.
Are you kidding? Come on, to Speedy. You know Trouba.
I think the Penguins coaches are going too far with saying suspendable hits.
They're not. The NHL can't.
It was questionable though because it was an elbow though. Beef. You have to keep that in mind too. There is a penalty for elbowing. So
Crosby lowered his head.
No, yeah, Crosby got his head out of the way, which makes it not a headshot. That would have made it a definitive, possibly major penalty.
No player is going for somebody's head. It's not.
No, I don't think Trouba.
No player will be going for a player's head. What are you, nuts?
No,
that's
they're not
Sidney. Listen, if Trouba got kicked out of this series and he injured Sidney Crosby for the rest of this series, they would be loving it right now. As a matter of fact, they're probably loving it. They're not upset. If Trouba got suspended, I understand he's not. But what happens if he did? If he got accepted, do you think the Rangers would care that they lost Jacob Trouba? It's Jacob Trouba, right? Jacob Trouba for game number 6. Do you think they would care after losing Sidney Crosby for the rest of this series? Come on, man.
Then who would they play? They would have to play.
They would have to call up Zach Jones, probably.
Zach Jones is somebody.
The only problem with that is Nemeth would get more ice time, and that would be a whole other problem.
He should play. He should be playing anyway because
they should, because Nemeth is horrible.
Dude, Jacob Trouba is horrible. Okay, he is horrible.
How many times have I said that to you?
I agree with you. I think he's horrible. $9 million. He's one of the worst defensemen in the NHL.
The Rangers overpaid him, and then you got idiot fans like Tyler who think Trouba's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Well, that's because he played well in Winnipeg, and then when he came to the Rangers, like a lot of players do, they can't handle the pressure.
His best season with the Rangers, actually. He's actually
he played better in the regular season. He's still not worth the contract. But
no, 100%.
Him being suspended.
I don't want to talk about the Rangers for the rest of the show. Okay.
No, but I just wanted to make the Crosby hit. That's what I wanted to really talk about.
All right.
I don't think it was. I think it was a clean hit, and Trouba didn't mean it. So.
Disagree.
Stuck says everyone knows the refs have screwed the Rangers just like the Cowboys. Jeff going with emojis now. Hashtag ban the peeve. Stuck says the one off his back was awesome. Hashtag time to make the coleslaw. Shesterkin hasn't played as well in the regular season.
You like that? Don't you like that beat? Time to make the coleslaw.
No.
You don't like that? That's funny. You have to say that's funny. You don't think that's funny?
Shesterkin hasn't played as well in the regular season. It happens.
Coming from a fat bastard who's a piece of shit. No.
he wants you to make the cupcakes.
Coming from a bully who likes to bully people and try to put people down. Well, I'm the wrong person to put down. Meet me out in the streets and see what happens.
Stuck says, "Don't. Please tell me the Beav is going to make Shesterkin.
I love you, Beav.
Please tell me the Beav is going to say Shesterkin. Shesterkin is going to win 3 Stanley Cups in a row." The Ranger fans are turning against each other. Jonathan Quick won 2 cups almost by himself. Carl said, Jonathan Quick. Ben says the Heat eliminate the 76ers officially. Snug says, LOL, that USA dude spoke at a sales meeting I was at. He was at the Salesman Hall of Fame or something. I wish we could get Miami Heat's reaction to the Miami Heat winning the first round. It's the second round. Snug also says, hashtag the
He's probably in jail right now.
Who knows?
Miami Heat. He's probably in jail right now as we speak.
God.
Carl says,
so what do you think? What do you think about this Toronto Tampa series?
It won't be. We're never going to trust Toronto to win until they actually win. But
they're up right now. They're
so
up right now.
Might the greatest playoff reversal we ever thought would have happened actually happen? We'll see.
Toronto's up 3-2, and they're up 3-2 in the third period.
Yes. Are you surprised they're up in the series?
I am.
No, because I think the Lightning has a lot of deficiencies. They lost a lot of players in the offseason. A lot of big-time players that really were big players in those 2 Stanley Cup wins. Gaudreau was very important to that face-off wins and penalty killing and all the things that he was good at. There were other players that they lost in the offseason too. They're not the same team they were last year, and nobody thought that they were. They're very talented, 100% very talented. But I think Toronto is very talented too. They have a great offensive team, Marna and Tavares and Nylander and Matthews. I mean, they got a ton of weapons offensively. They're weak defensively, but their goaltender's up for a Vezina Trophy too this year. He was fantastic too, and Campbell. So they're a good team. They're very well built. Do I think they're going to win a Stanley Cup? No. I'm very surprised they're going to beat the Lightning if they win this series. But the Lightning, I think their time of winning is done. I think they're talented. Vasilevsky is a sensational goalie. Right? So. No, but Vasilevsky is a sensational goalie. He really is. But he has not looked as good as he has the last 2 years in this series. He's been bad in this series. And that's I'm going to blame the reason why the Lightning are down in this series is not their defense. It's not their offense. It's the bad goals that Vasilevsky has given up in this series. He's given up a lot of bad ones. This guy is he's been the best goalie in the NHL for the last 7 years. He's been the best. I think he's won, 3 Vezina trophies and in the last 7 years. And the fact that this guy has given up as bad goals in these last couple of games and has put his team behind, he's the blame. Just like Shesterkin, in my eyes, is the reason why the Rangers aren't winning this series right now. So it's goaltending.
Carl says beef skating has to be laughable.
Who right now with all the games that are going on and whatever, and who do you think is going to come out and win the cup? Just by watching these teams play.
If I were to choose right now, because I never did my picks, I told Speedy this. If somehow the Bruins win this series against Carolina, and they could, I think the Bruins beat whoever they play from the Penguins and the Rangers. They're going to be going to the Eastern Conference Championship.
And it could be Colorado.
I'm sorry. No, I'm talking about the Eastern. I'm just talking about the Eastern Conference. And I know the Panthers they won the President Trophy this year. I don't think they're as good as everybody thinks they are. I think their defense is they're not built for the playoffs.
They're not very deep comparatively to what they should be.
I think that if Toronto wins this series and they play the Capitals sneak past Toronto, and it's going to be the Capitals and the Bruins.
Wow.
I think the Bruins
all wild card.
I think the Bruins go to the Stanley Cup Finals, and I think they play the Avalanche.
That'd be shades of 2010. All wild cards when the Canadians played against the Flyers.
Now, if Carolina, I think whoever wins the Carolina Bruins series wins the whole thing in the East. It comes out of the East. That's what I think. Because I don't trust Tampa. I don't trust Toronto. I definitely don't trust the Panthers. The Capitals have done it before, and they can get hot. Peter Laviolette is a very good coach. They're very well defensively coached. I just don't think they're getting enough offense. And if they're going to depend on their best player in Ovechkin to do everything like we've seen year in and year out, it just doesn't work in the playoffs.
Right. And their defense hasn't been as good either.
Do you think with Colorado with all this time off is going to hurt them?
Yes.
And I think it'll hurt them, but they'll beat whoever comes out of St. Louis and Minnesota. I think they're the better team. They're the best team in the. I would love to see Colorado and Calgary. I think that'll be a fun series. Two very fast teams, lightning talent on both sides of the puck. Both teams have good goaltending. It would be fun to watch.
I think whoever comes out of that area, I don't trust anyone below the Central Division. If Colorado wins against Minnesota or St. Louis, they'll end up beating the Pacific winner. But I do think Minnesota is very deep too, and it's going to make a tough matchup if they can come back against the Blues. And the Blues do have the good goaltending to make that kind of thing work, where they could steal shots from the Avalanche, who have kind of iffy goaltending.
I think it's if I were to choose right now, who's going to come out of the East? It's either the Bruins and Carolina. And in the West, it's either Calgary or the Avalanche. That's who I think is going to come. I think those are the four best teams going into these series. And I think, listen, I'll say this. I told this to Jeff. I told him the Bruins were going to win tonight. I told him, Jeff, you heard me. I told you the Bruins are going to win tonight.
Well, they were home. They had to win.
No, he thought they were going to lose.
Every home team has won so far.
But it'll be interesting what they do. They need to win that game against Carolina. If they can go to Carolina and beat them in Carolina, I think the Bruins are built very well to win the Stanley Cup.
On Carolina right now. They're all in Carolina.
Yeah.
Game 7.
Absolutely.
All in Carolina.
Carl says the Lightning missed their third shift from last year. Sluck says, I miss Miami Heat and Kenny. Beef skating has to be laughable. Errol, you might be the judge of that.
He
can skate. He can't stop.
He can skate, but not stop. All right, there's your answer to that, Carl. He also says TJ Oshie.
He's not a bad skater. He just can't stop. So,
and then
it's actually pretty funny.
Yes. And yes, Carl, yes, the Canucks were the last Canadian team to make an appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals. The last team to win was Montreal back in 93.
So there you go. Beef, man, thank you for calling, bud.
Right. You got it, man.
Love you, man. Thank you.
Later, bro.
The Beef, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic. His takes are a little crazy when it comes to goaltending. I mean, Shesterkin, Speedy, am I right or wrong? Honestly,
Shesterkin has been average in this series. And
if you would have picked the one thing, and blame one thing on why the Rangers have lost this series, what would it be?
Offensive game planning for me, just because I think they've taken Domingue for granted a lot of the time.
You don't think it's goaltending?
I think that's not the main thing. I think they're not getting high quality chances against a third string goalie. They're trying to just take him for granted and shoot kind of impulsively a lot of the time, which is very unlike the Rangers. And I think that's been the biggest thing that's hurting. That's the biggest thing why the top line really hasn't gotten it going. They're not really showing their skills of what they could be. I know the Penguins have Crosby and Gensel, but still, that's Rangers have all this talent and they're not showing it. I think I don't know if it's individuals or Gallant, but that looks very flawed. Carl also says, #Ben the Beef, nothing fantastic there. And we have Jeff on the phone.
Jeff, what's going on, man?
Why do you pay attention to him? Why do you
Jeff, you got emojis tonight, so that's a new one for you.
Yeah, there's a beaver emoji.
I know, I noticed. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. I mean, but why do you pay? Like, when was the last time he had a good take? When was the last time he made sense?
With whatever Super Bowl bets Errol said that he was winning and won like $30,000.
He did. He won 50
which was on squares. So he put money down on random numbers and happened to win. That's all luck. That's all. He backdoored himself into a couple of bucks. That's what happened. But this kid thinking he knows hockey now is outrageous. Outrageous. He is completely blind. Like, the Rangers stink. Can we just be honest? The Rangers stink. And Speedy just did it too. He's a Rangers fan. He goes, just because they got Crosby and Gensel. Yeah, you forgot about Letang. You forgot about Malkin. You forgot about a lot of guys on that team. Mm-hmm. If you think the Rangers have more talent than the Pittsburgh Penguins, you are high.
The top line, okay, that's fine. If you want to say the top line is better for the Penguins, that doesn't excuse the Rangers from trying to make high quality shots and have a good game plan. They're shooting impulsively.
The problem is, here's the other thing you're ignoring. And not that the Rangers aren't good on the bottom six, but they're not as good as the Penguins on the bottom six. The Penguins have a deeper team, like a deeper team.
I think the Penguins' fourth line is solid. I just don't know if the depth is there. It's really the 2 and 3 lines that were big question marks, and the kid line, the young line for the Rangers.
And how many lines deep is the Rangers?
They should be 3. They should be 3. The problem is the second line hasn't played well at all.
Right.
No, the young line, the kid line.
That's been playing very well. Yes.
Right, but so there you go. You're going, oh, well, they should be 3. Well, the Pittsburgh Penguins are 4 lines deep, and you're a 3-line team with one of them playing like doggy doo-doo. So that's why you're where you are.
Yeah, they haven't performed well, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're shooting impulsively. They're taking a third-string goalie for granted. And Louis Domingue, he's nothing special, but that doesn't mean that he can't step up at any moment. He's playing with no pressure on him. Should he be
outplaying Shesterkin?
No,
okay,
not by any means possible.
He's nothing special, but yet he's body bagging the blue shirts.
Right.
Just absolutely body. And you want to know why he's doing that? Because the Rangers aren't getting a lot of high-quality shots. And do you know why that's happening?
Right.
Because the Penguins' defense is playing terrific.
They've blocked a lot of shots. I'm just saying the Rangers, when they have gotten better looks or even like odd man rushes, they're either shooting from bad angles, they're shooting way too early, like so far back on the blue line. They're not getting
bad angles. So what you're saying is they make poor decisions.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't know if it's a game plan thing or the individual thing. That's what I was said. The number one thing I blame.
By the way, Toronto's going up 2 men. The Lightning are going up 2 men.
A high stick.
Yeah. So
have a 3-2 lead, and then you get a 2.
Hedman's 6'6", and so you got this pair of clown shoes complaining that that's not a high stick. What is your stick doing high enough to clip someone who's 6'6"? What an idiot!
Who's calling in? Who's calling in, Speedy? Put them through. Put them both through.
Anyways,
do you know how to put them through?
I think they're
Your
both
telephone number has been pre-selected.
All right, so you can hang up the phone.
All right, Jeff, call back.
We lost Jeff.
Jeff, call back.
There's Jeff. Jeff, what's going on? I'm sorry, man.
No, that's all right. Yeah, no, Bruins, they're a whole different team than the Rangers. Look at the fight the Bruins are showing. Look at how tough they are.
No,
and that's another. Oh, and I'll give Speedy the reason that I gave you earlier, Errol, too, as to why the Pittsburgh Penguins are just dominating the Rangers. Pittsburgh has championship players on it. Championship. Who are the Rangers? There's no leadership on the team. Who are they looking to for leadership?
No, we said that coming into the series, that the Penguins' top line leadership, Errol was saying, had the most periods combined played of anybody.
400.
Yeah, of any team in the playoffs right now in terms of their playoff history between Malkin, Crosby, and Letang. Those top 3. I think the Kings were second. And then we knew that they had the advantage up the top. It was the second and third lines that I thought the Rangers were going to carry away with. And the third line's playing fantastic. The second line is playing god-awful. And that has been a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pittsburgh's the better team, honestly.
I think the Rangers. I think the Rangers have the more upfront talent. You know, like listen, Crosby, Malkin, Crosby, Crosby, Letang, and Malkin are fantastic players. But I think they have 3 really great players. And then if you look at the Rangers, I would say the Rangers have 5 really great players. So I would say the Rangers have more upfront talent. I think the back end, I think it's Pittsburgh. And by the way, Tampa just scored. So it's tied 3-3. So there you go. This is probably going.
Leave it to the Leafs to get a 5-on-3 deficit against them in the third when they're trying to close out a game.
That's right. That's right. And you should live here. Living here is so great because the T-shirts are terrific. Who just scored that goal?
It was
you know who
Kucherov.
it was.
Kucherov.
Right.
Yep.
Do you know the T-shirts they sell here that says "I love Cooch"?
Yep.
What a great T-shirt that is.
I love Cooch.
Maybe that's what Miami Heat's up to.
Speedy doesn't understand what they're trying to say anyways. So when it says "I love Cooch," he really thinks they're talking about Kucherov, but it's
no. I thought it was something weed related or something like that.
No, it's not that.
That's why I mean the
weed
Miami
related.
Heat. No,
yeah,
I thought that's Kush.
That,
I think that's Kush. Yeah,
Cooch.
I mixed. Yeah, no, I mixed it up in my head. That's why I made the Miami
What a
Heat
great
joke.
place Tampa is. You got to see the T-shirts running around here. It's unbelievable. But but Boston. Look at the fight in Boston. There's no fight in the Rangers.
No, there isn't.
they had one good stretch there where they had 3 great minutes. I'm not going to take away they scored the 3 goals. I don't know, 252 or whatever it was. They scored those 3 goals last night.
Yeah.
They played 3 great minutes, and those are the only 3 great minutes they've played the entire series.
I would say that, yeah. And that's the problem right now, because I think when you look at the Rangers and where the Rangers are positioned going into the next game tomorrow, Game 6, if you're a Ranger fan, I would worry. But if the Rangers could get out of that game and go back to Pittsburgh, I think the Rangers will have the advantage going back to Pittsburgh.
Because Pittsburgh then would be shaken by the whole thing.
Absolutely. And I think the Rangers with the young players, and really they have nothing to lose. I think the Penguins are going to have everything to lose if they lose Game 6, because again, Sidney Crosby's probably not playing for the rest of this series, and he might not play in the next series either. Upper body, injuries, usually, if they're not coming out with it, it could be a significant injury, and they don't want anybody to know what it is. So it could be an oblique. It could be something like that.
No, it's a concussion, dude. That dude has a history of concussion.
Well, they're saying it's what did they say it was?
They're upper body injury. It's all as far as I know.
Right. They're lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're doing. They're lying to you.
The Mike Sullivan is not giving a specific diagnosis because he doesn't want Crosby to be targeted there if he does play.
Right. That dude's melon is made out of wet Kleenex.
Let's go.
That's what it is. He got his bell rung. He got his bell rung, and now he's got another concussion. And they're trying to not say concussion, because if they did, he'd be in concussion protocol. And because it's like, I don't know, his 30th one, he'd have to sit for a while.
So what did you think about the draft lottery on Tuesday, Jeff? Obviously,
no one cares.
I know you say nobody cares, and this year there's not a lot of depth in this draft. And you'll be able to find great players in each round, but in the first round, they say it's really a 6 top players in the first round that people are talking about, and then the rest it's a hit or miss. And Montreal, who went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, now have
fluke of all time.
It doesn't matter. They went all the way. And now they have the #1 pick in the draft. And again, I'm not surprised that the Devils are again in the top 5. I think this is their 3rd or 4th top 5 pick in the last 7-8 years.
They become the Jets of hockey.
Well,
yeah, but there's a lottery. It's a different. The Devils were the 4th highest odds when they got the Jack Hughes draft,
and honestly,
they weren't the #1 with Hischier
honestly,
either.
it's the Cleveland Browns. It's not the Jets. I mean, the Cleveland Browns had how many times where they were top 3 draft pick?
Right, but it's the Jets because the Devils never really get #1, but they're always in the top 5.
Right, but I don't think in the Jack Hughes draft they were the #1 projected, and the Hischier draft I'm pretty sure they weren't either. So I think from that standpoint, getting it twice is definitely an interesting pattern to judge, and then getting it again this year as well. When there are other teams that have similar odds, but still, like Arizona hasn't gotten it in a while, and Seattle's their new team. I was thinking they were going to rig. Arizona's got a 3rd.
And Mikey C believes that Arizona will have the #1 pick next year. The NHL will give them the #1 pick because of obviously the stadium situation and talking about maybe moving them. And then I'm hearing that Austin Matthews, who will become a free agent, an unrestricted free agent next year, could be on his way back home to Arizona. And this kid, who's the kid I was talking about, Speedy? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Connor Bedard. Yeah,
Bedard, who everybody says is the next Sidney Crosby.
Dude, he's unreal.
Yeah,
he's unreal.
They're saying he's the next Sidney Crosby. So to put him over there in Arizona, if they could put him and Matthews over there in Arizona, I mean, that could keep them there.
Right, but Arizona's also got instances where they were projected to be a top 3 and they've gotten screwed. So it's kind of like an IOU type thing in
Mikey C believes they're gonna win the draft, and if he's right, I'm gonna say that the draft is all.
That's not even the real lottery. That's not even the real. The real lottery is down to like the Red Wings, the Jets, and one other team on which team's going to get Barry Trotz, the greatest coach in the NHL, by the way.
So
I've been told that so many times.
So it's Red Wings. Who's interested in Barry Trotz? Red Wings.
The Jets, the Red Wings, and somebody else. I forget.
I wonder if actually they're out now. I wonder if Nashville will fire their coach and try to get him back, because John Hynes, I don't think is a great coach either.
But Barry Trotz is the greatest coach in the NHL, hands down.
Well, he's one of them, one of the top 3.
He's a bum.
All right, so I'll read off the draft order that will be happening over the offseason for the NHL draft. Montreal gets number 1. The Devils get 2. Arizona gets 3. Seattle gets 4. Philadelphia gets 5. Columbus, obviously the Chicago pick, gets 6. Ottawa gets 7. Detroit gets 8. Buffalo gets 9. Anaheim gets 10. San Jose gets 11. Columbus gets number 12. That's 2 in the first 12 picks by Columbus. The Islanders get 13. Winnipeg gets 14. Vancouver gets 15. And thank you to the Vegas Knights. Buffalo gets number 16. So
I think Vegas would have got the pick too if it was like top 10 too.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the draft order of this year's lottery draft.
Think
for the
about
NHL.
all of those teams you named. And think about how bad the NHL actually is, right? Like, it's really great at the top, but all of those teams you named, I literally was just thinking to myself how awful they were and how did they not get the number 1 pick?
Well, here's the thing.
Like, how did Buffalo was terrible. How'd they not get the number 1 pick?
That's
Seattle
true.
was miserable.
How did they
not
get the
number 1
16th
pick?
I thought they were going to rig it for Seattle too.
Right? Like,
Buffalo
but
got the
it's not
9th
even-
pick.
But it's not even that. It's like, you can name like those top 10 teams and go, wow, they were miserable. How did
Well,
they not
Buffalo
get
also
the
have gotten the number 1 picks twice, and number 2 with Eichel, and then look where they are.
I mean, there are a couple of good teams. I mean, the Islanders are a really good team. They're getting number 13. I mean, Columbus, I mean, they weren't good this year, but they weren't bad. I mean, Columbus wasn't that bad this year. I mean, they were up and down all season long.
They were competitive for a little while, and then they just.
I mean, Ottawa has a lot of talent.
Ottawa's got good young talent.
They're going to be really, really, really good.
And they've got a nice goalie prospect too.
Me and Mike were talking about Ottawa. Ottawa is maybe a year or 2 years away from being one of the more young, talented teams in the NHL. So,
the best young prospect in hockey is a kid named Fabian Lysell.
Mm-hmm.
The best prospect in hockey. He is terrific. Just lightning in a bottle. Fabian Lysell.
Oh yeah, who's he play for?
Boston.
I figured.
Process Kucherov.
And they got another kid that just that they got from
He's a
Michigan
piece
too,
of
John
work.
Beecher.
Yeah, no, that name I recognize. Was he? He was a first-round pick, or because I recognize that name.
He was a first-round pick 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah, he was. I think he was either award winner 2 or a finalist as well.
I was waiting
Fabian
for him to say
Lysell is
Boston.
lighting it up right now. Lighting it up in the WHL playoffs right now. Lighting it up.
Carl says
He just scored the game-winning goal. They just beat the Vancouver Giants in a game
These
7.
names are horrible, by the way. The Vancouver Giants.
Boston beats Vancouver again.
Who names their team the Vancouver Giants?
Cities that aren't creative. Carl says Speedy smokes the purple koosh with his dog. Stuck says I solely want to see Speedy's dog
It's
do bong
cooch.
rips.
It's cooch.
Yes,
not
Carl
cooch.
corrected himself. I wonder what the main munchies are in Speedy's house when they're all stoned. NHL is fixed. A lot of conspiracies.
Do you know what a cooch is, Speedy?
I'm not going there right now. We have a guest. We have a guest. We have a guest coming up. Slug says, I can't believe Trotz is available being the GOAT that he is. Carl says, Joel Quenneville was amazing, but apparently turned his blind eye. And Slug says he plays for God's hockey team.
Jeff, call up a little bit later. We got to get a guest on.
No, I'm going drinking.
Oh, man, enjoy your drinking.
Enjoy.
Then, man. Enjoy.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna victory drinks. When you put Carolina
What did
body
What
back.
did I tell you that the Boston Bruins were going to win?
You did. I wasn't so sure. I didn't say they wouldn't. I just said I wasn't so sure.
And here's my prediction: whoever wins this series goes all the way to the Eastern Conference and wins the Eastern Conference.
First of all, I believe that all the pressure is now on Carolina.
Yes,
they had a
it
big
is.
lead in this series. Boston, listen, in the last 4 games or whatever, Boston's 3-1.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
Swayman.
They're riding
Swayman.
momentum.
Yep. A goaltender that actually can stop the puck.
Everybody loves Swayman. Better than Shesterkin.
Right now, I would say you're right.
It's not even close.
Yep.
It's not even close. The 2 out of the 3 losses that Boston has in this series, Linus Ullmark was in net.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Swayman right now is 3-1.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
What's Shesterkin's record?
1 and 2. 2 and 3.
Yeah, 2 and 3. With
And then he
four.
got pulled in 2 games.
There you go.
So who's doing better?
Swayman.
I got a TV show idea. It's called Everybody Loves Swayman.
Jeff, thank you for calling, bud.
Cheers.
Jeff is crazy. Everybody loves Waivers. He's nuts. All right. When we come back, we'll be talking to Put on Waivers, NFL Draft, and Raiders analyst Ryan Holmes here on the Sports Loudmouths.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, this is the Sports Loudmouths. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy PD. 631-672-3108 is the number. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Two callers, the Beeve, who wants to stick up for those Rangers. I don't know why, but, that's what Ranger fans do. Like to hide the blind eye or hide a blind something. I don't know what they're blinding. But, you should find out what a cooch is. I think it would be good for you, Speedy. Anyways, and thank you to Jeff with Everybody Loves Swayman. But I want to introduce our very special guest. We're very happy to have him on. We are now talking to Put on Waivers, NFL Draft, and Raiders analyst Ryan Holmes. What's going on, Ryan?
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We're really excited to get you on. There's a lot of stuff to talk about with the NFL. The real story with the NFL today is the NFL schedules came out, so that'll be interesting. We'll talk about the Raiders. But before we do that, how did you get into being an analyst, and how did you get into writing for the Raiders?
I've always been a huge NFL draft fan growing up. I always watched, back when it was Saturday and Sunday, the old format. I looked up to Mel Kiper, who was doing the draft back then in the late 80s, early 90s. Just been a huge fan. I used to have a website when I was in college in the 90s doing mock drafts. Did some film breakdown at Arizona State when Andrew Walter was there when I was in my early 20s, and just kind of always loved football. And when I became a season ticket holder with the Raiders back in 2018, they gave us NFL Game Pass as part of being a season ticket holder. So I would go home after the game and break down the film. And it's something I've been doing now for probably the last 4 seasons.
As everybody knows, we're talking to Put on Waivers, NFL Draft, and Raiders analyst Ryan Holmes. Why don't we get into the NFL Draft? We've talked to so many specialists, so many draft experts after the draft. Who do you think stood out the most in this year's draft out of all the teams? And what team really stood out the worst out of all these teams?
Yeah, I like what the Ravens and Jets did off the top of my head. Just looking at the players they've brought in, how they fit their scheme, the value where they got them in the draft. Clearly, the Jets having 2 top 10 picks really helped. But getting that corner and Sauce Gardner, and then also Garrett Wilson as the wide receiver to help out the young quarterback, Zach Wilson. Get the running back and Breece Hall in the 2nd round. Trade back up, get another first-round pick, get the edge rusher and Jermaine Johnson. I really liked the tight end Ruckert at Ohio State in the 3rd round. I think that's a good value. He's going to come in and give them a lot of snaps and 2 tight end sets. And then in the developmental tackle and Max Mitchell. So I like what the Jets did early in the draft. Clearly having 3 number 1 picks is going to help you there. The Ravens are always good at just finding value, and guys always seem to fall to them, and they end up taking the right guys normally. And In this case, Kyle Hamilton fell to him, the Notre Dame safety. They got the center out of Iowa and Tyler Lindenbaum. David Ojabo was a first-round pick had he not got hurt, able to get him in the second. Travis Jones was a guy who made a lot of noise at the Senior Bowl. They were able to grab him. They got the big tackle. I hope I say his name right, Daniel Falele, out of Minnesota, who kind of fits their scheme, power run blocker. They're going to want to run the ball with Lamar Jackson, turn around and hand it off as well. And then I like the tight end they got later on the 5th round as well, Isaiah Likely out of Coastal Carolina. So really like what those two teams did. To answer your question, the team I don't know what the Patriots are doing. I don't know if you guys are Patriots fans, but just kind of looking from afar.
A lot of guys are on our network fans.
A lot of reaches. Cole Strange in the 1st round. The wide receiver Thornton out of Baylor in the 2nd round. I do like Marcus Jones. He gives you some versatility in the defensive backfield. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. He has some kick return ability. And then Jack Jones out here on the West Coast where I've had a lot of problems at USC before he ended up at Arizona State. He wasn't that great of a player anyways. To be able to pick him up in the 4th round, I don't see a ton of value there. And then plus there's a lot of off the field questions with him. And another team is the Bears. I don't know what the Bears are doing. You have Justin Fields. You think they build around the young quarterback. They lose Allen Robinson. They don't go out and get him anything. They go out and pick up a corner in Kyler Gordon. They pick up a safety. They give him a wide receiver prospect out of Tennessee and Jones, who's not a big-time outside guy. And it's like the new staff is setting up Fields to fail, and they're going to move on after this year. He has no talent around him. The offensive line, they didn't really do a lot there. They still have the 2 young tackles in Jenkins and Broom, who they picked up last year. But how is Justin Fields supposed to succeed in that offense with that roster? I just don't see a way that he can.
They could trust their 10 tight ends to maybe do something.
Yeah.
So is there any teams that either didn't have a 1st round pick or drafted very late that you thought did very well? Who would that be and why?
They didn't pick late, but I like what the Seahawks did. I'd like to just touch on them. I like the players they picked up. They needed a quarterback, obviously, having moved on from Russell Wilson. And picking at 9, they didn't feel comfortable there. But if you just look at the players they've added to their roster, they were able to get Cross, the tackle out of Texas A&M. I like Boye Mafe, the defensive end, the edge rusher out of Minnesota. Then they go out and get the running back Kenneth Walker out of Michigan State. They pick up Andrew Lucas, who's a very good tackle prospect in the 3rd round, a local guy out of Washington State. And then they had 2 corners that fit their scheme, and Kobe Bryant and Tariq Woolen in the 5th round. So I like all of those picks. They bring a ton of value, and they put themselves in a position where obviously Drew Lock's not the answer. If they go out and win 3 or 4 games and put themselves in a spot next year to go out and get one of these 2 or 3 quarterbacks, they're going to go at the top of the draft. They're building the roster around him a year ahead of time. So they're not going to compete in that division, but I do like what the Seahawks did moving forward.
We are talking to Put on Waivers, NFL Draft, and Raiders analyst Ryan Holmes. Well, the Cowboys have been getting shot at, and I mean shot at, maybe buried. Jerry Jones was showing his report card after the assets were drafted, and nobody knows, including his son, knows why Jerry Jones did that, and showing what they were doing, what they're drafting, and how their table fell. But what were your thoughts with Tyler Smith going to the Cowboys? Did you think the Cowboys failed as much as everybody else is saying that they did?
Yeah, I like Tyler Smith, probably late 2nd round. I thought he was a reach where they took him the back end of the 1st. I think they picked 24th. Clearly, they were addressing a need over value at that point. They probably could have traded down. Clearly, they needed a partner to move down to the mid-2nd to get him, but they probably thought that he wasn't going to be there in the 2nd round when they came back. But I don't think it's a reach there. But I do like the fact they're trying to build around Dak Prescott. They have to protect Dak Prescott to use the weapons outside, get Zeke Elliott going. So that they gave $40 million to the quarterback, so you got to put some assets around him. I just don't like the value where they took him. And the draft's all about value, understanding where you have to take guys and how to move around and get them in the right spots.
So a lot of the big name receivers were getting rumored to get traded. A.J. Brown did get traded in the draft, but a couple of the others, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, did not. So what were your reactions to one, the A.J. Brown trade? And also, do you think any other receivers could get traded now after the draft?
Well, the A.J. Brown trade is a great move for the Eagles. They went out and paid him. I don't know what Tennessee's doing. You have a team that was the number 1 seed in the AFC. You have Tannehill, who's okay. He's holding on there. You have Derrick Henry, but that offense is built around play action and getting the ball to those physical receivers on the outside. and they don't want to pay A.J. Brown, who's one of the probably top 10 receivers in the league, and now he goes over to the Eagles. He's going to be a great compliment next to Devontae Smith, and they're going to give Jalen Hurts everything they can this year to prove he's the guy. I don't know if he is. My guess is he's not. But he has a running game. He has weapons on the outside. They have the tight end. Now, what do the Commanders do with Terry McLaurin? They have Carson Wentz, who they traded for, so they have to keep some assets around him. I would expect them to hold on to him. He's a big play receiver. But you're starting to see the value of these contracts get up in the $25, $28 million range, and these teams just don't want to pay that. You can go out and get a rookie wide receiver in the first or second round, get a 4 or 5 year deal at a much more manageable cost. So that the cost acquisition is much cheaper than going out and just loading up your salary cap with these receivers. But once you have these receivers in your system and you're a team that's on the rise, you have to hold on to them. So I would expect McLaurin to stay with the Commanders. They need to win, or Ron Rivera's job is going to be on the line here pretty quickly. So we'll see. I don't think any other wide receivers are going to move this year. It'll be interesting going into next offseason how these teams finish up. Who's going to be on a 5th-year option? Who's going to want to get paid? What happens to Deebo Samuel? Does Deebo Samuel, do they run him into the ground as a running back again this year? Because he doesn't want to do that. Running backs don't get paid. He wants to catch the ball and make $25 million a year.
Ryan, you look at the Giants, and everybody loves what the Giants did in the first round. They added Kevon Thibodeau. Thibodeau, obviously, he's a great pass rusher. Some people think that he could be the best pass rusher in this draft class. Most people don't, but some people do. And then they added Evan Neal, who everybody thought was the best offensive tackle going into this draft. After that, I think the Giants did very bad. I think they failed to get the players and land the players that they needed. They traded with the Jets. They helped the Jets out to get Breece Hall. Makes no sense why they would do that, but they did. They then drafted Robinson in the second round. A lot of people don't understand why they went for a wide receiver that they practically the same wide receiver they drafted last year, Mr. Human Joystick over there that they're trying to move now. I mean, did you like anything else that the Giants did besides what they did in the first round?
No, just you looking at the names, like you said, Wan'Dale Robinson in the second round, that's a reach at 43. There was other receivers on the board. At that point, I don't know if I would have gone receiver. Like you said, they had Kadarius Toney. You still have Kenny Galladay. You still have some other options there that you can get the ball to. It wasn't a need. And then after that, they took the guard out of North Carolina. They took a corner out of LSU. The corner out of LSU might turn out to be a player. Cordell Float, he's got athletic ability. It's just can he be consistent? Is he going to hold up in man coverage consistently? Can he press on the outside? But after that, a tight end out of San Diego State. They took a safety out of Iowa. I don't know what they were doing there. It's the new regime there with Joe Shane coming over with Brian Dable. This is a make or break year for Daniel Jones. They clearly needed to build around him. I would have liked to see them get a little bit more depth on the offensive line. I know they took Evan Neal, but you can never have enough offensive linemen. And to your point, Thibodeau might be the best pass rusher out of this group if you just turn him loose on third down. Problem is he's going to have to stop the run on first and second down.
So what about your team, the Raiders? Didn't have a first-round pick, but the value picks that they had, what did you think of their value, including our guy, Neil Farrell, that we hit on the show a couple months ago?
Nice guy.
Yeah, clearly going into this, when John Gruden was around, they took Tanner Muse out of Clemson in the third round. They called him a special teams war daddy. They took Lynn Bowden Jr. out of Kentucky. They called him a joker. So they were looking for gadget guys in the third round. This year, Josh McDaniels and the new regime, it was basically like enforce the trenches. They went out and it's not a sexy draft. They took 2 running backs, 2 offensive linemen who both might be guards, and then 2 defensive tackles. So no skill position players in this draft, but they had to reinforce the offensive line if it's going to hold up. Clearly, trading a 1 and a 2 for Devontae Adams is a good move. He reunites with Derek Carr, who played with him at Fresno State. It gives him that true number 1 weapon on the outside. And now it's pick your poison. You have Devontae Adams on one side. You have Hunter Renfrow in the slot. You have Darren Waller there when he's healthy. You have Josh Jacobs. You have a stable of running backs now with Zamir White, who they took out of Georgia. They brought over Brandon Bolden. They have Kenyon Drake coming back as well. So there's plenty of options to run the football out in Las Vegas, but they have to stop the run. And they needed big bodies on the defensive line. Most of their defensive linemen were on 1-year deals last year that came over with Gus Bradley, who's no longer there. So that there's a scheme change. They needed some 320, 330-pound bodies. Here comes Farrell, who's going to play the nose tackle. with Jonathan Hankins. They got Matthew Butler out of Tennessee, who's more of your 3 or 5 technique that can hold up in that front. And it gives them a lot of versatility because the 2 edge rushers are pretty good when you have Chandler Jones and Max Crosby coming off the ends.
We are talking to put on the waivers NFL Draft Raiders and analyst Ryan Holmes. Ryan, let's get into the schedule that came out today of your Vegas Raiders. I love doing that.
I still do it too.
I love messing around with, especially Raider fans. I'm like, oh, you mean Oakland? No, I mean Las Vegas. No, I mean Oakland. Anyways, week 1, September 11th, game number 1 of the year. I'm not talking about the preseason. I'm talking about the regular season. You have a tough challenge in game number 1 against the Los Angeles Chargers, who have just really upgraded their offseason, adding Jackson, adding Khalil Mack. This is going to be a fantastic defense, one of the best defenses we might see in a very, very long time. And offensively, with Justin Herbert and the weapons that they have, Eckert, and they're loaded. What are your thoughts of week 1 and throughout this schedule? You have Los Angeles, then you have Arizona, Tennessee, Denver, Kansas City, then you're by Houston, New Orleans, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Denver, Seattle, Los Angeles again, Los Angeles Rams, New England, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Kansas City. This schedule is not easy.
No, it never seems to be easy. It's a bloodbath in the AFC West. So you're going to get 6 games with the Chargers, the Chiefs. You're looking to split those. You're looking to go 3-3 against the Broncos, Chargers, and Chiefs. And then you got the NFC West on top of that. So here comes the 49ers and the Rams coming in. They do play at Pittsburgh late in the season. I think their last 5 games are all against teams that made the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on the road a lot early. I think 7 of the first 11 are on the road. That opening game against the Chargers is a rematch of Week 17 last year was the play-in game, basically, when the Raiders had to beat the Chargers to get in. I expect another high-scoring game. The key to this is who are the 5 linemen? Who are the Raiders going to line up on the offensive line to block Bosa and Mack week 1? The good thing is the NFL was nice enough to give the Raiders, 2 home openers, because that game in LA against the Chargers is going to be 80% Raiders fans. It always is. But can they block those 2 edge guys? Where's Derwin James going to line up? And then obviously they have the corners outside. They have Asante Samuel there as well. So can they assimilate? How quickly do they understand Josh McDaniel's system? How quickly can they involve Devontae Adams? And then can that offensive line hold up? Because we don't know who 4 of the 5 starters on the offensive line are going to be. All those jobs are up for grabs. They got a lot of young players. So the key to that game is going to be the offensive line. And then they don't do them a lot of favors. Like you said, Arizona's a good team. Tennessee was the number 1 seed, the Broncos, the Chiefs, and then a bye. And then finally they get kind of a layup against the Texans, hopefully. But I'm looking at those last 5 games when you come down the stretch.
Yeah.
Those are not going to be easy. When you have the Chargers, then you have a short week at the Rams, Patriots, Steelers, 49ers, Chiefs. So the Raiders need to get off to a good start. They can't be staring down the gun barrel, need to win 5 out of 6 or 4 out of 6 of those games with a chance to get into the playoffs. So it's going to be a challenge. Luckily, there's a lot of home games. They get to play at LA twice. So they get the Rams and the Chargers. So they might get 10 home games this year. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, a layup against the Texans. I'm sure that's what the Chargers were thinking last year. And meanwhile, that was the game that caused them to miss the playoffs. So I want to go back to Josh. I want to go back to Josh McDaniels. What were your thoughts on the hire itself? And were you surprised that they went with a second chance type head coach the way they did? And also, if it wasn't for him, what coach would have you wanted for the Raiders the most?
Well, obviously, Josh McDaniels wasn't my first choice as a Raiders fan after what happened in Indianapolis. And just, he hasn't had a lot of success away from Tom Brady in New England. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do on his own. This is a team that needs to win. Derek Carr's getting up there. He's now almost going to be 31 years old. They just extended him. And it's a team that has to compete now. This isn't a rebuild like it was when John Gruden took over. As far as, who I would have liked, I've always been an aggressive defensive guy. I was leaning a little bit towards Harbaugh at some point just because he's always won, but that's kind of a different personality. But yeah, probably Harbaugh is probably the where I would have gone if he was willing to come, just to bring that blue collar attitude, come in there, smash mouth football. And he's won everywhere he's gone, and he's rebuilt programs, whether it's the 49ers, University of San Diego, University of Michigan. But I'm okay. I'm okay with McDaniels, but he's got to win. If they go out and go 6-11 or 7-10 the first 2 years, and this doesn't work, he's not going to be there very long. But Mark Davis had to get an established head coach after everything that went down last year with John Gruden and the emails and Rich Bisaccia taking over. But I was 100% behind not keeping Bisaccia because they kind of got lucky down the stretch last year. They had some layup games there where they got the Browns when they had COVID. They got Drew Lock with Denver, and they had some winnable games that helped them get into the playoffs. But now there's no layups on this schedule as of May 12th. We'll see what happens in the preseason and when they line up during these 17 games.
Obviously, your Las Vegas, Ryan, your Las Vegas Raiders are in the hardest division now in football. You talk about the Broncos with the acquisition of Russell Wilson. Kansas City, they got better in the draft. They did lose Tyreek Hill, but I think they've gotten a lot better in the draft. They really landed on almost every single spot that they drafted. They added Kalafdis, they added McDuffie, right?
Yep.
McDuffie, and then Sky Moore. Yep. I mean, they added so many good, players to that roster that's very, very much loaded. And then you have like the Broncos. Then you have San Diego. I say San Diego. The LA Chargers with the acquisitions they made with Khalil Mack and Jackson and all the players they have. And then your team. I think, what are your thoughts about that division and your thoughts to where they could end up in that division by the end of the season?
Yeah, every week, those 6 divisional games are going to be a bloodbath between all 4 teams. So, hopefully one of those teams can come out and win 4 out of 6, go 4-2. The goal is probably to go 3-3 and split that and try to win 7 out of 11 outside the division. But we'll see what happens with Russell Wilson. I think that's kind of getting overblown. He didn't play particularly well last year. He's going to a team that's on the younger side that hasn't really produced the last 2 years. He has weapons, but we'll see if they can produce as far as Jerry Jeudy on the outside, today, Cortland Sutton, and they have Williams.
They just lost.
Yeah, who knows what's going on with Jeudy with everything that's happened. And then how's the offensive line going to be there, and what is the defense going to look like? And you have a rookie head coach in Nathaniel Hackett. So the betting man in me would say the Broncos probably finish 4th, but then the rest of the 3, it's up for grabs. The Chargers are going to be really good this year. They've really upgraded that defense. I love Justin Herbert. As a young quarterback in this league. He's got all the pieces around him. They added Zion Johnson in the first round, and we'll see what happens in Kansas City. That's going to be a different team without Tyreek Hill. I think a lot of people are just looking past that, like, oh, they moved off from Tyreek Hill, but that's a different offense when he's not on the field. And Kelsey's getting up there. He's missed some games with injuries, and he's in his mid-30s now. So there's a lot of pressure on Patrick Mahomes there, and he's the best quarterback in the league. So we'll see what happens, but it wouldn't surprise me to see the Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs all fight for playoff spots this year. I'm not sold on the Broncos yet.
Well, I'm not sold that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league because there is a 2-time MVP in Green Bay that will argue that point right now as we speak.
No, and Rodgers is right there as well, but we'll see what he does without Devontae Adams.
So Derek Carr, your quarterback, got a huge contract extension this offseason. A lot of people were saying they overpaid for him, getting $40 million a year just about. So what were your thoughts to it? And what do you think will be the approach for the Raiders trying to win now with this kind of team?
Well, when you break down the contract, I like how it's structured. It's basically a 1-year deal, and there's not a lot of guaranteed money in this contract. So they can move on after this year if Josh McDaniels in the front office doesn't like the way the team is headed. I'm okay on Carr. I've always thought he's somewhere, 10 to 15 in the league. I've never thought he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. There's a lot of turnover questions with the fumbles. He runs streaky. He's hot and cold at times. There's always peaks and valleys during the season, but now there's no excuses. He has a ton of talent around him on the offensive side of the ball. And we'll see what he can do. The clutch is, can he do it for 4 quarters and put up numbers? Because he's good in the 4th quarter. He's got a number of comeback wins, but he's got to do it for 4 quarters, and he's got to do it for 17 weeks. It can't be you're good for 4, you're okay for 4, you're down for 4, you're good for 4. So the pressure is on Derek Carr at 31 years old to go out and win 10, 11 games because the defensive pieces are there too. So we'll see what happens. It's a really tough division. This team might end up 9-8 and be better than they were last year at 10-7, just based on the schedule and the opponents in the division.
Ryan, we really appreciate you joining us. You're awesome. We definitely want to get you on as the OTAs start and the season starts to slowly but surely move closer and closer and closer. I love to bring you on a panel of all the different analysts that we have for obviously, you're with the Raiders. We'll bring in a Charger panel guy. We'll bring in
Jesse Reeves. We have one of those already.
Kansas City. Yep. We'll bring them on, and we'll talk about the division. And you guys could go back and forth on why you think your team could win the division. I think it'll be really, really fun, like we did with
the AFC West panel. We'll bring Lance back for a third time.
Yeah,
for the Broncos.
Yeah, why not? It would be funny, and I think it'd be fun to hear all your different opinions about each team and where they're going to be in the division.
Absolutely, would love to do it.
Tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
Yeah, they can follow me on Twitter, as where I do post most of my video breakdowns once the season starts. My handle's at RHOLM22, so it's at RHOLM22. And then I do a weekly podcast, the Put on NFL, Put on Waivers NFL, and Put on Raiders podcast with my co-host Dwayne Douglas. We'll actually be recording Sunday, so I should have something out early next week. But yeah, they can follow me on Twitter is where they can find me.
We really appreciate everything, Ryan. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We were just talking to Put on Waivers NFL Draft Raiders analyst Ryan Holmes. Awesome guy. Really, really great guy. Knows his stuff.
Yes.
Knows his stuff.
I love that he brings back, the Raiders are going to get 10 home games. Yes, LA, that is your problem. The Rams Super Bowl parade's a pretty big indicative of that. Yes, Raiders will get 10 home games, assuming they don't get any international ones.
Did you see the schedules? What is the Giants schedule? Because
they were opening up with the Titans. I know that, which they did, I think 8 years ago too, which is weird for an out of conference opponent.
All right, here we go with the Jets. I'm trying to. No, I didn't find the Jets here. Schedule.
Jets open up at home against the Ravens.
Yes, God. Ravens, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. This is not an easy schedule. What are you talking about, Jeff? Miami, Green Bay, Denver, New England, Buffalo, bye week. New England again, Chicago, Minnesota, Buffalo, Detroit, Jacksonville, Seattle, Miami. This is not an easy schedule. This is a horrible schedule.
Yeah, the AFC North is going to be the X factor of determining a lot right now with that schedule.
You got to play Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cincinnati and Pittsburgh back to back weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not fair. I mean, come on.
That's brutal. That's gonna be a big opening test right away for such a young team. And but
Baltimore, who's expected to be really, really good this year.
Yeah, the Ravens a veteran team, the Steelers a veteran team for the most part, with now bringing also.
I think the Jets could beat the Steelers.
They could. The Steelers have a lot of question marks
teams,
too.
Out of all these teams, I think that and even with Cleveland, because you don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback of that team,
right?
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Cleveland and Pittsburgh are the more likable, but the Jets did beat Cincinnati last year,
right?
So they could beat Cincinnati. It wasn't Zach Wilson; it was Mike White that beat him. But
the 2-game legend of Mike White,
yeah, which everybody wanted to trade Zach Wilson away after that.
Classic overreactions.
Well, thank you to the Jet fans, but this schedule is not an easy schedule. So I don't know what Jeff was talking about, how easy it is. This is a horrible.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's like as bad as the AFC West what they have, but
come on, Speedy. Baltimore's considered a playoff team in talent. Cleveland is too. So is Cincinnati, and so is Pittsburgh. Miami is going to be a lot better with Tyreek Hill and the weapons they have. Then Green Bay. Oh, that's going to be easy in Green Bay. Yeah. Then you got to go to Denver, at Denver. I mean, two cold places, and you got to go to Denver now and play Russell Wilson. Then New England, which you go home. Then Buffalo, not going to be an easy game. Then a bye week. That is not easy. I mean, what's the easiest game of that bunch? Miami?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, that's not an easy schedule. I don't know where Jeff says, the Jets could win. The Jets I will be surprised. Okay, let's go through this. Do they beat Baltimore? No. Do they beat Cleveland? Possibly.
Yeah, depends on what.
Do they beat Cincinnati? I would say no after they won last year. Do they beat Pittsburgh? Yeah, I think they could beat Pittsburgh. Do they beat Miami? It's a hit or miss. So let's say they do. So they're 3-2 here. Green Bay, loss. Denver, loss. New England, loss. Buffalo, loss. You do the math. I mean,
3-5. That's what you're looking at right there.
5-3. I mean, 3-5. Yes, 3-5. Then you go the bye week. New England, let's say you get lucky, win one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
So you're 3-3, and you could beat Chicago.
Yeah,
you could beat Minnesota. Then you're not going to beat Buffalo. You could beat Detroit. You could beat Jacksonville. So if they get through the first 9 weeks and come out with a 3-5 record or a 4-4 record, okay, in their first 8 weeks, I think the Jets could be playing for a playoff spot. Could be. I don't think they are. I'll be very surprised if they win 2 of these games.
But like Ryan was saying, don't be surprised if the AFC West starts canceling each other out a lot of the time too, and with the NFC West mix in there too. So while we were thinking there might be 3 playoff teams out of there, it's not guaranteed.
If they somehow beat Baltimore, I'll be shocked. Okay, I'll be shocked. That doesn't mean that I don't think the Jets are talented. Because their first game against Baltimore is in MetLife Stadium, so they're going to have a home game. They don't have to go to Baltimore.
Right.
Baltimore has to go to them. So is that a benefit to them? Maybe. I mean, but I worry about this because you have a young team and a very good defense in Baltimore.
Right.
And now you just added another guy to your defense, and Kyle Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going into that game where, yeah, it's a different defensive coordinator. Obviously, their defensive coordinator went to the Giants.
Right.
But I still think this team is loaded defensively.
Right. And we said the same thing about the Ravens when they lost Dean Pease initially, too, when he retired and they went back to Tennessee. And they brought in Wink Martindale initially, and their defense still did great. The other thing, too, is you're going to probably get the Ravens when they're healthy, too, not when they had all those injuries at the end of the season, when they had top 3 corners out. Well, they had the running backs hurt last year, but they had all those receivers out, 2 offensive linemen out. That's usually been the flaws of the Ravens with their roster development. It's just they have a lot of injury-prone players. And getting them week 1, you're going to get a lot of those guys healthy, unless you have a case like they did with the 3 running backs last year, where they just all got hurt at once in training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not ideal for that kind of thing to happen. But yeah, the Jets are getting a mixture of home and road games, so there's really no bad.
The Giants' schedule is easy.
Yeah, we knew that coming in because the NFC North stinks. The NFC.
All right, so game number 1, they have Tennessee. They're at Tennessee. I don't know what Tennessee is this year. Who knows what they are? They don't have A.J. Brown there anymore. And Julio Jones is not going to be there.
Nope.
They're saying Julio Jones is going to be signing with Indianapolis.
Good luck with Robert Woods as your number 1 receiver.
Week 2, they're playing Carolina. Who's their starting quarterback? Sam Darnold? I mean, that could be a win for the Giants. Week 3, they play Dallas. I think they're going to be at home.
They're at home. They're at home the first time.
Yeah, so on Monday Night Football. They could beat Dallas.
Yeah, they have 3 home games in a row: Panthers, Cowboys, and Bears.
They got Chicago. They'll probably beat Chicago. Then they have to play the Packers in London. That's a game I think they lose. Baltimore, they lose. Jacksonville, they win. Seattle, it can go any way. So really, if you look at it, I'm going to say they beat Tennessee. They beat Carolina. They lose against the Cowboys. They beat Chicago. They lose against the Packers. So what's that? 3-2?
Yeah.
They lose against Baltimore, 3-3. They beat Jacksonville, and they beat Seattle. So what's that record? 5-3?
Yep.
So I think the Giants are close to either 4-4 or 5-3 going into their bye week.
Yeah, there's a couple interchangeable ones, probably with Seattle, maybe Carolina too.
They beat Houston.
Yeah, they should beat Houston.
They beat Detroit. They win one of these Dallas games. So I say they beat Dallas.
So you have them winning the Dallas home game.
Yes.
Okay.
They lose against Washington. Well, they played Dallas on Thanksgiving, by the way, which is good. We get to see a Giants game on Thanksgiving. The Washington, they lose against the Washington Commanders here. They beat Philadelphia here. They win against the Washington Commanders there. They beat either Minnesota or Indianapolis, and they lose one of those games.
Why do they have the Commanders and the Eagles all bunched up at the end of the season?
I think the Giants win 10 games. I think they can make the playoffs with this schedule.
Now, the rest of the NFC East has that same schedule, too, besides the 2-game difference or the 3-game difference now.
This is an easy schedule.
And with the rest of the NFC, we've mentioned outside of the West, there's a lot of the weak divisions, especially the North too. Outside of Green Bay, Minnesota could be good with a new coach.
I'm jealous. If you're a Giant, I'm jealous. I mean, if you look at the Jets schedule, how could any Jet fan be happy and excited going into the season where your first game, in your first home game, you got to play the Baltimore Ravens? And then go to Cleveland the next week and play Cleveland, and you don't even know who your starter is going to be, Baker or Deshaun Watson.
Right.
I mean, How could anybody be happy about that if you're a Jet fan?
Well, yeah, and we kind of expected that with the way the AFC is all of a sudden just massively emerged into that bloodbath type conference. And I think now you're judging a case of the Jets are going to have to win those tough games early, and that could make it very, very difficult in order to do that. So you're looking at now the Patriots, the Bills, and the Dolphins. Those games are going to be more vital than ever to be able to win those games because Buffalo might beat a couple out of conference too, but will the Patriots and Dolphins? No, maybe not. The Jets could leap over them if they end up winning those games in division too.
I don't think so. I think the Jets schedule is so not fair. I listen, that's football. That's the way football is, and you can't complain about it. I'm looking at Chicago's schedule, and I feel bad for Justin Fields. Listen to this schedule. This is not an easy schedule either. Week 1, San Francisco. Week 2, Green Bay. Week 3, Houston. Week 4, Giants. Week 5, Minnesota. Week 6, the Commanders. Week 7, the Patriots. Cowboys. Miami. Detroit. Atlanta. The Jets. Green Bay. And then your bye week is like the last, I think you get 4 weeks after that. So your bye week's like week 12 or 13. So that's deep. Then Philadelphia, Buffalo, Detroit, and Minnesota. This is not an easy schedule. I mean, I feel bad for Chicago. I feel bad for Justin Fields.
Classic Bears.
I mean, if you're a Bears fan, I wouldn't be. That's horrible. These schedules are horrible. I mean, let's see. Give me another team.
Let's do an NFC West one. Let's see.
NFC West, good.
Let's see the 49ers.
49ers? All right, let me get the 49ers.
Because they have the AFC West too, and then they got the NFC South, which they're not great either, but they're not like terrible.
All right. Here it is. Brought up. Okay. Week 1, Chicago. Week 2, Seattle. Week 3, Denver. Los Angeles Rams. Carolina, Atlanta, Kansas City, Los Angeles Rams. That's an easy schedule. I think the 49ers can win at least 4 to 5 of those games. Then bye week, then you have to play the Los Angeles Chargers, Arizona, the Saints. Then it gets harder for them. Miami, Tampa, Seattle, Washington, Las Vegas, Arizona. I think it gets harder for them in the second half, more than the first half.
It's weird because they got swept by Seattle last year, but also swept the Rams in the regular season. So they're kind of a weird team in that sense where the easy games might not always be the easy games for them too. And they've always been like that too. They remember even in their Super Bowl year, they had a weird loss at the end of the season against Atlanta, who wasn't that good. It's strange with the way the 49ers are built sometimes, but a lot of the NFC West is like that too, where they have those tough divisional matchups too. And like Seattle, when they were great, sometimes got swept by the Rams, who were very average back when they had the Legion of Boom.
Buffalo Bills, their schedule for 2022. Rams, Titans, Miami, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Kansas City. That's not an easy schedule.
No.
You got to play the Rams. That could be a loss. Tennessee, it's a hit or miss.
Hit or miss, but the Titans have beaten them a lot, though.
Miami, you're going to lose at least one of those games. I'd say they lose this game. Baltimore, good luck. Pittsburgh, with Pittsburgh, it could go either way. They
lost to the Steelers last year.
And then Kansas City for the final game before they go on their bye, week 7. Then Green Bay, the Jets, Minnesota, Cleveland, Detroit, New England, New York again. Miami, Chicago, Cincinnati, New England. That's not an easy schedule either.
No.
I think their schedule's easier than Jets.
It's interesting though. They got the opening game with the Rams. Like that's an odd one. The defending champions, you don't really see the out of conference
Thursday
matchups.
night too.
Yeah,
First Thursday night football game.
So the Rams defend their Super Bowl title. A lot of times you see that against a division rival, a team you just beat in the playoffs. The only time I remember seeing an out of conference, it's a good game. I mean, it's just kind of weird that they scheduled it that way. Like the only time I remember seeing an out of conference one like that was the Panthers and the Broncos, just because it was the Super Bowl rematch. But beyond that, like even like you saw Dallas last year against the Buccaneers, who were a playoff team. You saw like certain rivalry games with like the Ravens played against the Broncos, like because they played in the playoffs. Like the Bills and the Rams. I mean, what's the really correlation? Is a Von Miller revenge game?
This is why I hate the NFL. You ready to hear the Patriots schedule?
Oh boy,
this is going to be funny. You're gonna love this. This is why I think the Patriots always have They're very loved in the NFL. Okay, Miami week 1, Pittsburgh week 2, the Baltimore Ravens week 3, Green Bay week 4, Detroit week 5, Cleveland week 6, Chicago week 7, the Jets week 8, Indianapolis week 9. That's a winnable schedule. I mean, I'm just saying. I guess that Baltimore probably isn't easy.
Yeah.
Green Bay could go either way because you don't know who he's throwing to. Cleveland, I don't know what to expect with Cleveland this year because we don't know when Deshaun Watson's going to be back. And the Jets, I listen. I'm a Jet fan. I don't expect the Jets to. I think the Jets will win one game against New England this year. I do, but I don't think it's going to be that one.
Yeah, they win at home.
Okay. I think they beat them in New England.
Oh, okay.
I think the Jets beat them in New England. You know, when they figure things out, it's going to take them a little while.
Yeah, the Patriots actually weren't exactly the home crowd advantage of the past.
After the bye week, they play the Patriots again.
I don't know if you want to mess with
And that's
Patriots
another
after
thing.
a bye week.
Why are they putting the Jets and Patriots games so close together?
That's what I said about the Giants, too.
They did it last
They put
year.
Washington and the Eagles both bunched up at the end of the season.
They did it last year. I think the Jets and the Patriots played
early in the season last year.
Yeah, within 4 games from one another. So how do you
I don't know
that?
why they do that. It's across a lot of divisions, too. Why they all of a sudden feel the need to have...
Their second half is not easy. Minnesota, it goes Buffalo, Arizona, Las Vegas, Cincinnati, Miami, Buffalo. So it's not easy to final.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same tough AFC North opponents. That the Patriots difference.
If you can get a lead in that division,
yeah, it depends on the tiebreaker games are the main difference. The NFC West, I think, so the Patriots would have Arizona in that case, which they're kind of hit or miss against in the track record wise, but very winnable for Arizona too. And then you got the tiebreakers of the Raiders, which you got a Josh McDaniel storyline against Belichick. Does Belichick beat his assistants again?
Where's our boy DeBacker?
I don't know. I've messaged him a bunch. I don't know where he's been.
Well, he'll probably pop in at 11:30, or maybe where's he from? Maybe
I'm not sure.
Is it
actually.
Central?
I'm not sure. No, yeah, he's Detroit. He's based in Detroit, so he's Eastern time. So,
all right, I just wanted to know. Whatever. It's if he got caught up, we understand. He's been very, very busy. I think he said he had a new job. He got a new job.
Yeah, I know the 2 companies listed on his Twitter, but Team Rise or Fall, and then also Woodward Sports. He wasn't working with. At least he wasn't labeled it last time I interviewed him last year. So, he also said he was at the NFL draft too. So I don't know. Maybe he had caught up with some content with some of that too. I'm not sure, but
Good for him.
Good for him. Absolutely.
So he's one of very few people, especially us, that have not been to the NFL draft. But that's null and void. Who cares? But anyways, I've been to the NHL draft. I've also been to the NBA draft. But not the NFL draft. For some reason, the NFL don't like us. But that's just.
So what pick did the Knicks botch at that draft you went to?
I think it was 8. I think the Knicks drafted at 8 or 9. I went to the Ntilikina one.
You went to the Ntilikina one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that was 8. So that probably was that then.
I went to that one when the Knicks fans were booing and wanted to jump off a bridge.
Naturally.
I mean, if you look at the Knicks drafts, and we'll get into basketball a little while actually. The Knicks drafts have been horrible. Lately it hasn't been. Opie Toppin looks like he's a player. Quigley looks like he's going to be a player. Grimes definitely looks like he's a player. They have players that look like players. It's just when these are all, except Grimes, they're all first-round draft picks, and you can't knock one out of the ballpark. You had a chance to get Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
And you decided to pass up on him.
Yeah.
So I think for Ntilikina. So it was
5 picks before Ntilikina.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell went 13.
Look at what Donovan Mitchell is.
All the Knicks fans at the time wanted Malik Monk, and thank God they didn't draft him either because he
did all right with the Lakers.
He did okay with the Lakers, I guess, but still, he never was. He was supposed to be this great 3-and-D guy. Never developed into that consistently. And
that's what he was supposed to be. What Booker is now.
Yes.
I mean, he's sensational.
Yeah.
He really is.
It's weird though, because Malik Monk actually played a lot more at Kentucky and actually got the chance to get reps, and Booker was kind of a sixth man on that undefeated team and never really.
The only problem he has right now is he's dating a Kardashian.
Well, yeah, obviously.
That's it.
Still,
Or Jenna, whatever
he
they
never
call
got that
themselves.
chance to really showcase. So maybe he fell in the draft because of that, and then now he becomes a star.
Well, he didn't fall because of the Jenners or the Kardashians.
No, I'm saying he fell because he didn't play much of that Kentucky team. He came off the bench.
Because Ben Simmons is actually dating Kendall Jenner before, obviously Booker is doing it. They like to hop basketball players, musicians, comedians, whatever they can get their hands on. They hop these Kardashians. So now Booker is excited and he's happy. He's a sensational player.
Oh, yeah.
He really is a fun player.
And an actual playoff performer, not like somebody else that dated a Kardashian, James Harden.
Yes. They all did. I think all the great NBA players dated one of the Kardashians.
And Devin Booker's just the only one that played well because
It's really ridiculous. They'll get bored of NBA players and then they'll go to NHL players, That's what they'll do. They'll jump from one craziness to another. But I mean, now they're dating. One's dating Pete Davidson. The other one's dating Travis Barker. I mean, it's ridiculous. They don't stop. They're like a dreidel. You know what a dreidel is? You
The
spin
Hanukkah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
made out of clay and you spin it.
You spin a dreidel, and wherever it lands, you're gonna get it. Well, it never stops with the Kardashians. It just keeps.
So they
spinning.
get hypnotized by dreidels.
Maybe they do.
If only that actually worked for real life, that would work.
If only anything works for real life. Maybe just a plain old headache with the Kardashians. But
Yeah, you could get that through hypnosis.
Hypnosis.
Sure.
We're
If somebody
gonna need more than
hypnotized one of them, and
We're gonna need more than that.
Get a headache. Yeah, sure. All right, fine. We'll add some other things in the mix too. But anything to make them not be their annoying selves.
Well, we're all annoying, as everybody knows. We had the Beef on. We had Jeff on. I mean, anybody else that wants to call the show and just completely make us get sick, I mean, you could. Why not? 631-672-3108 is the number. If you want to make me throw up, more than welcome to call. There you go. So we got through the NHL, really. As far as the playoffs are concerned, besides these Eastern Conference, series, there's really, I mean, the St. Louis series is interesting. I don't think this Calgary series is really, and I'm very surprised that the LA Kings is doing what they're doing against the Oilers. If I was running the Oilers organization now, as good as they are offensively, and they have some good offensive talent, they have to decide if this team is going to win a Stanley Cup with the way it's built. And if it isn't, you have two fantastic offensive pieces that one of them you can trade. Draisaitl, I said it the other day. Draisaitl is a sensational player. Teams would give you pieces to rebuild your team. Why wouldn't you do it? Look, I said this about the Islanders. The Islanders have Barzell, Mayfield, and a first-round draft pick this year and a first-round draft pick next year. You wouldn't trade him for Draisaitl? What are you, nuts?
Right.
I would do it. And I think the Islanders will love it because his contract's only $8.5 million. But that's what I mean. If the Oilers can't keep up, or they can't do the things that they expected to do this year with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, then you need to part ways with one of them. It's not going to be McDavid because he's the face of that organization and he's the best player in the world.
Right.
But Draisaitl's not far from him.
Yeah, and you might actually get it where, because Draisaitl's contract is affordable too, you could look at other teams and think about it as the Oilers might get more from it because you're getting the better value overall too. Where if it was like a huge contract where they felt the guy was overpaid, you might not get as much for it. Whereas Draisaitl is looking like the guy that's underpaid. And when you have a lot of teams with these good salary cap situations that are still contending right now, there's going to be a lot of options out there for you. Even some of the surprise young teams this year that we saw in the Western Conference. Now, the Oilers odds are going to want to trade him to the East because they don't want to have to play against them in the playoffs unless they end up making the Stanley Cup somehow, which I have no idea if that's going to happen.
Well, that's why I think it makes sense with the Islanders, because they have some pieces that you can trade with, and the Islanders need that other guy. But now if they trade Barzell, you're bringing in another guy. But Draisaitl, I think, can do it. I think he's more of a goal scorer than Barzell is.
Yeah.
I think Barzal is more of a fancy, passer, great skater. If you put Barzal with McDavid,
oh my God!
I mean, those are the two of the top 3, 4.
That's the fastest
guys.
line in NHL history.
I mean, that would be fun to watch.
Oh my God, yeah,
it would be really fun to watch. And I think McDavid would make Barzal a much better player.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I think your Draisaitl is more of he has the great stick work comparatively. I'm not going to say that he's like a power forward type, but
he is a goal scorer. That's what he is.
Yeah,
and that's what the Islanders need.
And I think also, too, something that the Islanders definitely could use, depending on also what else they end up doing in the offseason, too, because we know that the offensive depth for them wasn't there.
No.
So you have a guy in Draisaitl.
When was the last time an Islander scored 50 goals?
I don't even know. Mike Beastie, probably, I would imagine.
I would say, if I'm not mistaken, this is either Pierre Turgeon.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's
or
true.
Zygmunt Palffy.
Yeah, it's probably Pierre Turgeon. Yeah. But even so, look at who Draisaitl, as I mentioned on the Weekend Crunch, sometimes plays the second line. So you're dealing with like Zach Cashin and Evander Kane when he was there before they waived him.
Zygmunt Palffy had 48 goals, never had 50.
Oh,
okay, so it's not Zygmunt Palffy.
No, you're probably right. I feel like it would be Turgeon. I think Turgeon did have a couple 50 goal seasons.
Yes,
Turgeon, yeah.
I bet you it is Pierre Turgeon. By the way, being snubbed out of the Hall of Fame. A guy has 515 goals and 812 assists. He's not in the Hall of Fame.
Wow, really?
He's not in the Hall of Fame.
What are the baseball writers drug the hockey writers?
I don't know. And Pierre Turgeon had 158 goal season with the Islanders. It was the best season, 58 and 74 with 132 points.
Wow.
And 58 goals. And that was the last time I think an Islander scored 50 goals.
Yeah, no, I know Tavares never did because we looked that up. We looked that up at the time he left or was going to leave.
No.
And
I think the most he's ever scored with the Islanders was 38.
Okay, so yeah, Barzal hasn't done it yet. We'll see maybe later in his career, but they're going to need other guys to help him out if he wants to have any shot.
They need
at
to put
that.
another superstar right
Yeah,
behind
because
him.
otherwise he's going to continue to get all the attention if the other guys are not only not guys that keep up with him, as we know, but veteran guys that really don't have a lot of speed to begin with. A lot of guys could just play contain on Barzal and try to either make him pass,
which they've been doing,
or try to make him like snipe, not necessarily as a good high quality shot attempt, which we've seen Barzal. I don't know about this year as much, but we've also seen him kind of pass up a lot of good shots in his career too. And defenses
also
are going to
with the talent around.
That's what I mean. Yeah. You're dealing with a case where teams are going to continue to make them doing that, and the Islanders are never going to take that extra leap to be able to contend like they should if they don't have.
When your best player right beside you is Anders Lee, that's something to worry about.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying Anders Lee is not a goal scorer. He's slow as hell, and all he does is stand in front of the net. He's a decent. I would say he's a decent hockey player.
I would say he's like a solid but not great second line center.
Yeah. Who?
Lee.
Lee's not a center. He's a winger.
Oh, he played winger. He played winger more this year. I know he's played center throughout his career though too. So
he's not a center.
Okay.
He's a winger. He's under as a winger. So it's honestly right now. With hockey, you wait until the offseason, you decide where they're going to go when it comes to the draft and free agency.
Carlson is Duncan Keith. Yeah. The Oilers, the Blackhawks had to make it very hard to move that contract. He actually played well this year for the Oilers. Give him some credits. Who are still in right now. So I don't know, Carl, does he have any of that 3 overtime stamina from when they played with Chicago and they had like 3 of those 3 overtime games?
By the way, the reason why I'm so tired tonight, and everybody's probably wondering why I'm yawning and stuff like that, I was constipated last night. I should be talking about this on the radio. I didn't go to bed the rest of the night. I woke up at 4 and I was up ever since then. And it was horrible. I will tell you, my stomach is the worst stomach in creation known to man. It is the worst. So I didn't sleep at all last night. I would wake up, go to the bathroom, wake up, go to the bathroom, try to go to the bathroom, couldn't go to the bathroom. It was horrible. I don't wish that upon anybody. I was getting cramps like a woman. Okay. I mean, when a woman gets pregnant, I felt like I was pregnant.
You're describing.
I was holding a load, Speedy, holding a load.
Yeah, that's an interesting accent. Yeah. I was going to say, it sounds like somebody like waking up from like being wasted without being wasted.
Listen, when your stomach hurts, And I'll tell you this, man. Everybody today, they were wondering why I was so damn tired. I didn't sleep. I'm yawning on this show right now because I can't keep my eyes open. But listen, that's what we do, and we entertain people, and I'm happy to be here. And don't get me wrong, but I don't wish the stomach problems I have for nobody. That's all I'm going to say. So,
just good thing we're not doing the show blindfolded, or you might actually fall
I
asleep.
actually do the show on my toilet. I mean, I would. Why not?
You're going to pull off, what was it? Philip Rivers did that during the interview, like during the off season or something like that on the toilet.
I mean, why not? Listen, I see people watch TV on their toilets, read newspapers on their toilets. Why not do a radio show in the toilet? We'll call it the Toilet Show or something like that. Or the Sports Loudmouths, the Toilet Edition. How's that? I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't think anybody's want to hear me go to the bathroom or, fart and whatever the hell I could do, It wouldn't be something that will sell to the public, that's for sure. But it would be funny, right?
Looks like Tampa wins in overtime.
I figured they were going to win, by the way. And it'll go to Game 7, and they'll lose in Game 7. Toronto, I'm talking about.
Yep, that would be classic Leafs.
No, but I'm being serious. I mean, would that be a bad sell to somebody?
I mean, not necessarily. Like I said, Philip Rivers did some kind of interview on the toilet.
We're always looking for something and good new content that's going to draw people. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was during
Why
COVID.
not me taking a dump?
I think it was during COVID. And then, what was it? Mike Vrabel?
Dropping a deuce.
Yes, thank you for that.
How many times do you drop a deuce every week?
Maybe 4 or 5. I don't know.
4 times? That's it?
It depends. It's circumstances.
Man, you must be constipated.
Maybe, I don't know. It depends. It depends on the circumstances.
Yeah. How does it feel when you have to go rush to the bathroom and lay one out for everybody to hear?
I'm not going to film it.
Why not? Has your grandparents ever heard you take a dump?
Yes.
What did they say when?
Absolutely. They were wondering how I felt, but they didn't make it weird.
So they heard you screaming in your bathroom?
I didn't scream.
You've never screamed when you had to really take a massive dump?
No.
You've never done that?
Screamed?
You're like, get out of me. Like kind of that thing,
That's a grunt, but yeah, I've grunted, okay, but maybe not that loud.
No, but I'm asking you.
Snug says the Earl and Speedy shit show live from the buddy's bathroom.
That would be funny. Live at Jeff's bathroom.
I don't know if Jeff would ever allow that.
Why? Why wouldn't he?
I don't know. Jeff does not seem like the person that would let you into his bathroom.
Well, Jeff sits in a pool like half the day.
I think there's a big difference with a pool and a bathroom. Though.
What's the difference between taking a dump and hanging out in a bathroom?
People think of pools as like relaxation, like outdoor thing.
And what do you think taking a dump does for you?
It's a private area. I don't
Listen,
know.
if you're sitting on a toilet,
it could be a little different.
No, not true. I mean, when you have to go, you have to go. When you have to relieve yourself and you sit on a toilet, you don't think that feels good?
Yeah, but I don't think you're gonna think, oh, let's do a show on it.
Why not? I mean, everybody else does shows at stupid things. Look at Pat McAfee and the way he does his show. He does his show in a basement. So what's the point of if I sat on a toilet right now with my pants to my ankles and I'm talking on a mic, would anybody know that my pants were down to my ankles except if you knew I was sitting on a toilet, right?
I suppose. I'm not saying that you wouldn't enjoy it. I'm just saying, I don't know if like Jeff would all of a sudden like you ask Jeff, oh, could we do a show for your bathroom?
Could you imagine? You know what I should do? We should try to squeak and get Tyler on the show when he's sitting on the toilet. What do you think that would sound like? Tyler on a toilet.
What you were describing before times 5.
I mean, Tyler already said to me the other day he's losing more of his hair. He's massively losing his hair. And my friend who's a PA, he told him a way to get his hair back, and he's got to, take his hair on different parts of his body and put it on his head. Could you imagine that? Tyler with a set of hair. I've never seen Tyler with any hair. Then again, a set of hair. He's got like a yarmulke for the top of his head. By the way, shout out to Tyler Harrison. I mean, happy Mother's Day to his mother as well and his family. But I'm serious. Let's think of 5 different places I could do a show. Funny places. Let's vote. Let's have a vote, and I'll do the show wherever that is.
Tyler Snook says Tyler on the toilet would sound like any take
on the toilet would be one of
on the Cowboys.
All right, so let's do that. Let's pick 4 or 5 places that would be funny for me to do a radio show. Okay, we'll have the fans vote. And then wherever they vote, I have to do that show in that particular place. Why not? That wouldn't be a bad idea. Right? I'm not jumping off a building, guys, or sitting on a bridge doing a radio show. So don't put that. I mean, sitting on a float in a pool, I could do that.
Would you do it in a cave?
Why not? I'm not afraid of the dark.
Nice.
I mean, I'm going to have Wi-Fi. I mean, I'm going to be hanging out with the Bears or something.
Live from the Bears. Better run than the football team.
Live from the cave as the bear is about to eat me.
Which is still more than the football team has done all off season.
Snug says, I vote Earl in a dumpster behind the Miller's Ale House.
That might win. That's right.
Hold on one second. Why am I going to sit in a dumpster? I don't want to smell like, well, I'm literally taking a dump if I'm doing it on my toilet, right?
That's true.
But I'm not going to smell like the dump, right? Because it's going in the bowl.
Mm.
So why would I want to sit in a dumpster where it's going to smell like crap? I mean, that's not a good idea.
Snug says, would you do it with no pants and Speedy's dog lurking in the shadow?
No, that's not. That's not fair.
My dog running loose over there would run away.
No,
anyway.
he wouldn't. If he dipped his nose in your ass, what do you think he's going to try to do with mine? With my ass smelling like daisies? What do you think?
I think he'd have better things to do.
Better things to do.
He'd run away.
His nose went in your ass, and he had better things to do, right?
Yeah, but that's in a house that had a door.
All right.
If he's in a random parking lot,
So he opened up the door with his nose or his mouth.
His head.
His head, okay? He opened up the door, and then he said, oh, this looks like a nice hole, right? That's what he did, right?
He licked it. Yeah, okay.
He licked your ass.
Okay. And I'm sure if he was
live in Speedy's dog's ass.
He would just, because it's a public place too, and there'd be other people around. He wouldn't just focus in on you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm in Speedy's dog's ass right now. I'm ready to start the show. How about in your mom's bedroom?
No.
Why? If they vote that I have to do it in your mom's bedroom, I'm going to have to do it in your mom's bedroom.
Not going to happen.
What do you mean it's not going to happen?
We're talking about weird places.
That's a weird place, right?
No, it's a bedroom.
It's a weird place.
That is not a weird
Why would I
place.
be in your mom's bedroom?
You would not.
I just said that, but that makes it weird because I wouldn't be in your mother's bedroom.
Snug says, it would be fun if you had Speedy's dog sitting at the table at Miller's Ale House eating hot wings.
No, it wouldn't be
It
fun.
would not be fun,
No.
Snug, because dogs can't tolerate that level of spice.
Level of spice.
No, they can't.
Well, what do you like? Do you like spice? Do you like?
I do, but he wouldn't be able to handle that.
Have you ever checked out the Spice Channel?
No.
Why? Do you know what the Spice Channel is?
I don't watch like food stuff.
Yeah, but do you like the Spice Channel?
No.
Would you be interested in the Spice Channel?
I don't know.
You like spicy stuff, right?
Yes, but I if I wanted to research recipes, I would research recipes.
Well, there's a lot of recipes.
1 hour TV show.
Well, what do you like? What is your favorite part of the Spice Channel? If you had a chance to watch,
I would say either wings or Mexican food of different.
So the meat,
yeah,
right?
and the seasonings,
seasonings,
sauces,
saucing, yes. So meat, right? Well, by the way, what is Jeff saying over here?
Yeah, I can see, something about ESPN not picking up. I don't know. Stuck says maybe you could. Oh, that's the perfect one. There you go, Stuck.
What do you
Then
say?
we could do a show in the Beef's Deli. The Beef could do a guest segment on making coleslaw.
That's true.
That's the winner.
I don't know if I would do that. I wouldn't be in a deli. I couldn't sit there and listen to meat getting cut and trying to do a radio show. Would you?
I don't know.
I mean, could you imagine it? And somebody cuts his finger off. That would be funny, actually. That would be funny. The Beef cuts his finger off, and I'm sitting there trying to talk radio or the sports, and you're over here just saying, "I'll be live in the deli with the coleslaw man," right?
The Sultan of Coleslaw.
Well, the coleslaw man. I mean,
use the better nicknames.
I'm just asking you. The one question.
Beef Deli. That's my vote.
And you if I paid for the Spice Channel, you would actually.
What's with you in the Spice Channel?
I'm just asking you
if you want to do a show at the Spice Channel, go for it.
No, if I actually paid for the Spice Channel and I had you opportunity to watch it for a week,
I don't know.
It's a yes or no question.
No, probably not.
Why? You don't want to watch?
I don't. I wouldn't watch something on recipes for an hour.
Well, it's not just recipes; it's a lot of meat.
Okay, I can research that stuff if I was that interested.
Wow.
Usually it takes me a while to dissect the differentiations of menus.
Oh, so you like to dissect the meat?
The recipes, not the meat.
So you never dissected a meat before?
No.
Why?
Because I normally...
Do you like it raw?
No.
Or you like it medium rare?
Somewhere in between.
Okay.
Medium rare is not bad, though. Stuck says, maybe you could do the show from Kenny's survival shack somewhere on Long Island.
Well, he doesn't live on Long Island.
Yeah, he lives on White Plains, though. Come on, get it right.
Yes. And I don't know what happened to Kenny. Is he dead? I mean, like, seriously. That guy
Maybe him and Miami Heat did some kind of escapade.
So hold on one second. So Kenny called the show, like, I would say about a year ago. Yeah. All right. That was the last time I heard from Kenny. Right. And he called up. He was smoking wax, marijuana. Yep. And he was so high. And the first thing he said is like, what do you think about Eli Manning? And I said,
meanwhile, this is 2021 for context.
Eli retired like a year and a half ago, bro. Yeah. What are you talking about? Oh, remember that?
It was like February or March last year, 2021. And he was like a year removed retired. It wasn't like 2020 when he just retired.
There's so many weird people that have called this show over the years. It really has. And by the way, he owes me a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. Yes, the long overdue Thanksgiving dinner from 2018.
His father called me up and he tried to tell me, he's like, he really wants to, I'm going to take him over here and he's going to feed you your whole team. I remember that. But nobody wanted to go. Nobody wanted to eat the food. And then I told Kenny that I wanted him to cook for us. And Kenny says, I don't know how to cook. So there you go. What does Stuck
says, I was jealous. That dude had the best shit ever. I'd love to get stoned with Kenny. Yeah, well, that's probably his natural state, knowing him.
No, he was usually drinking, but then it became legalized. He said he was talking about it being legalized, so he started smoking. He says that this is the cheaper way of going than drinking all those beers. So there you go.
Beef spends more time stroking meat versus cutting meat.
He's probably true. He does like to stroke his meat, right?
That's the beef. I don't know.
Do you like stroking your meat?
I don't know.
You've never stroked your meat before?
Oh my God. You act like I'm
just asking you.
That much physical contact.
I'm just asking you. By the way,
my food.
Tampa, wins in overtime, knocks off the Maple Leafs, going to a Game 7. Mm-hmm. Also, the Boston Bruins knock off the Carolina Hurricanes to go to a Game 7 in Carolina. So we got we have 2 Game 7s now, and possibly if somehow the Rangers win tomorrow, we might see a Game 7 in that series as well. Mm-hmm. What's the Washington series right now?
3-2 Florida at the moment.
That could go Game 7 too.
So if Washington could win at home in Game 6, yeah, that'll go to Game 7.
Could
the
you
Wild
imagine
are fighting
all the East teams going into a Game 7.
Yeah. That would be. I don't think
is that a first time.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I doubt that's ever happened before, where every series went to a Game 7. In the West, Edmonton and Minnesota are both trying to do it now, trying to save their seasons. The Wild were down 1-0 last time I checked, and Edmonton's up 2-0.
Yes, we will. Yes, how about those Bruins? And I've been telling you. By the way, I talked to Jeff before the show today, and I told Jeff that the Bruins were going to win, and Jeff said, "No, they're not. I don't think they have a chance. Blah 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 blah. Carolina's too good. I'm very proud of my team. Win or lose." I'm very proud of him. Well, I was right, Jeff. So you can't say anything. I should have bet you, man. But going to a Game 7, I think the Bruins have a very good chance of winning that game. I really do, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. Because remember, they have the more experience. Most of these guys have played, not all the younger ones, but the big important ones, and not the goalie. Swayman has not been in the finals, but. I mean, there's a lot of players on this Boston Bruin team that has playoff experience and championship experience. And I know this is Jeff.
Yep, of course it's Jeff.
What's going on, Jeff?
You're such a storyteller, right? Where, yes, did you say the Bruins were going to win? Mm-hmm. Yes. Did I say that they were going to lose? No.
You didn't say they were going to win.
No, all I said to you was, I don't know, man, because I don't know if we can score.
That's not what you said. I said, who do you think wins tonight? Boston or Carolina? What did you say?
I said, I don't know, man.
No, you didn't. You're a liar. Yes. You're a liar. You said Carolina. You said Carolina. I asked you.
No. I said I like our team, but I said it's going to be tough for Boston to score with them. That's exactly what I said.
You said I asked you, who do you got tonight, Boston or Carolina? You told me
I
Carolina.
Told you I don't know. I told you I don't know.
That's not what you said.
Because I said to you, Carolina is a horrible matchup for Boston.
Okay, that's what you think you said. I should have taped it because I know that's not what you said.
You should tape it next time because I know what I said. I'm not the beef.
Hold on 1 second. The beef's not here to protect himself. Stop throwing him under the bus.
He can't protect himself anyways.
You don't think he could?
No. Are you kidding?
You think this? You think the beef, if he could, do you think he watches the Spice Channel?
Yeah. I know he does.
Why is that? Why is that? I want to hear this.
Because he can't get a chick. That is his chick, the Spice Channel. He grabs the remote and goes, "Oh, come here, Spicy."
Speedy, would you hang out and watch the Spice Channel with the?
Say no, Speedy. It's Speedy.
Why would I want to watch something with the beef?
Speedy,
nevertheless, the Spice Channel. Whatever the hell that is.
Right. It's porn, Speedy.
Okay. Yes, I'm definitely not doing that with the beef.
Right. And you want to know what's even more hilarious?
Let's hear it.
Is he gave the right answer everyone gives even before he knew what it was. He's like, why would anyone want to watch anything with the beef?
I don't know. The beef and I share two of the same teams. I don't know how watching a Ranger game or a Met game with the beef is going to be necessarily with especially with the Mets. Some of the strange takes he's had with the Mets too.
I love how Speedy applied common sense to it and was like, why would anyone do anything with that kid? Ugh.
Well, I don't think he thinks that. Him and the beef get along. I think they do, right?
No, I know, but we've had very different opinions on both the Rangers and the Mets, which are the two teams that we mutually root for. So
I love the New York Rangers.
He does. He loves his Rangers. He really does.
Beef is a platinum member of the Spice Channel.
The New York Rangers are the best team in the NHL.
So we got you on. What did you think about last night's game with the Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks? Man?
Oh, they choked it away, man. How do you lose a 14-point lead to start the fourth quarter? Choked it away. And then Smart and Jaylen Brown running into each other, getting the rebound on the miss. Who thought Pat Connaughton was going to miss a free throw? And then he does. And then two players run into each other on the rebound. Then the whole final 15 seconds was just a debacle.
The Bucks Twitter literally just reposted the last 42 seconds just to show.
Yeah, well, Bucks Twitter can blow me.
Also giving 40 points to Giannis is definitely hurts. I mean,
yeah, who cares though? If he can get 40 points, all he wants is if everyone else is limited.
But if you hold Giannis to 30 points, you win the game.
Okay, well, still doesn't matter because here's the common sense thing that most people would apply to this.
Mm-hmm.
How many points did the Bucks score or average a game in the regular season? The whole season, they averaged 115 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics are holding them to under 100.
Well, that's because Middleton's not playing
how many
either.
points Giannis gets, as long as the Bucks aren't getting like 115, as long as they're holding them below their average, the Celtics should have a really good shot.
Yeah, the only reason why they're holding him right now is because Middleton is not in this series. I mean, Middleton's a good offensive player.
You don't know that, right? But you don't know that because here's the other problem of this. Because you're like, oh, Giannis, 40 points. Giannis, there's only one basketball. So if Middleton is getting points, it's taking points away from other guys on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Other guys don't have as good of a game.
He's more accurate than some of these guys shooting.
The problem is you like to do this thing where you go, oh, Giannis gets 40, so add what Middleton would have got. No. Middleton also takes possessions away from people.
Probably takes it from Wesley Matthews that shot a lot. Drew Holiday that shot.
Wesley Matthews has a pretty good game. Drew Holiday had a pretty good game.
Drew Holiday had a great game.
Yes, he does.
Right. So, but this is what.
But Drew Holiday averaged 17 points a game in the regular season, so he was only averaging 7 more points than he did in the regular season.
Right, and then he's had his duds too, where he'll get 20 and then he'll get 5 or something like that, and then he'll only.
I mean, you have to depend on more of a Pat Connaughton, or a Bobby Portis who had 14 points. These guys wouldn't probably have the opportunity to do this in the game, and Eric Middleton is better. Yes, that's right. I'm Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton is better than both of these guys. So That's what I'm saying.
Right,
Yes.
right, but it also doesn't guarantee that he makes shots, number one, because the Celtics defense has been great in containing just about everybody, right? How great has the Celtics defense been in this series? Pretty damn good.
Their defense, they've been the best defensive team throughout the league all season long.
Right. So you can't say just adding a guy back. Okay, well, great. Oh, Chris Middleton's not there. Great. Guess what? Rob Williams isn't playing. Does Giannis get 40 if Rob Williams is playing him? Probably not.
Probably not. But again, the fact that Giannis
we can't do this shoulda, woulda, coulda thing. The guys that are playing are the guys that are playing. Stop with this Chris Middleton thing, because you can go, but what about Rob Williams? No one gives a fuck. They're not there. Throw them out.
Stuck says it's a bad loss, but at least they know they have what it takes to close out.
We'll see if they can.
And by the way, no excuses there. Didn't I just call the Celtics chokers?
Yes, you did.
Right, I did. So the next time you're like, oh, you're a homer, you just love everything. I called the Celtics chokers. They choked away that game last night.
Yeah, especially the rebound too. Like you never see that in the NBA.
Just because you're saying they're choking right now, if they win, you'll be bragging about that too. So stop it.
The parade will be back on.
I know. I know how you are.
I hope they win in Milwaukee. Right, but I'm calling it how I call it. I'm not the beat on, but Shesterkin is just so good. He's just so, no, he sucks donkey dicks right now. Let's be real.
Yeah, according to Slug's logic, he would have claimed that the Shesterkin would have been won three cups in a row.
And I will say this. I'm sorry to cut you off, Jeff. All the semifinal games for the NBA playoffs have been sensational. Really, Golden State and Memphis. I feel bad because I don't think Memphis is going to win this series because they lost their best player. I think if Ja Morant was playing in this series, I think this series would be probably
3-2. And you say that, and then they immediately body bag Golden State.
They did.
Right, but it makes a difference of a close loss too, where if Ja Morant isn't banged up in one of those other games, not game one he was healthy, and they lost by one, but one of those other games at Golden
State took their starters out with the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter in a playoff game. I mean, how many teams do that in the playoffs?
Yeah. And not only that, both games in Golden State were pretty close too, where Ja Morant makes a difference. I don't know if they win both games, but I would say they're at least up 3-2. I would imagine.
By the way, so we know LeBron is the king of the criers, right?
Okay.
That just is what it is. But I have a prince now of the league. Have you guys seen how many times Giannis cries about getting touched? Like, just cry, dude. Dude. Anytime he does anything, he doesn't think he did it. That's number one, which is hilarious. And then anytime someone breathes on him, he runs over to the referee with his arms up. Like, why didn't you call that?
That's fair to an extent. I still think James Harden takes the overall title, though.
By the way, congratulations to Miami for eliminating Philadelphia. They're on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Very well deserved. James Harden is another year that he just can't get over the hump or help a team get where they need to go. And I'll tell you this right now, if I was Philadelphia in the offseason, I would definitely make a decision if I want to keep James Harden or not.
No, you don't want to keep him. He's a clown. He didn't score a single point in the second half the other night. And by the way, he's getting fat.
Well, you traded a lot of pieces away, so you're gonna have to move them. Sign and trade.
Why would I, as a reasonable Philadelphia 76ers fan, not that I am, I'm just talking from that perspective, want someone who chokes in big moments, who doesn't play defense, and is fat. And the fat thing is relevant here because you got to be in shape to run the court and and play basketball. So when you're a fat, hey, I'll tell you what. Guess what? When you're fat, you can't play. Ask Zion. He called out fat the whole year.
Again, I think that when you look, well, I would if I was
James Harden fat?
Yes, he is. If I was a Philadelphia fan right now, and knowing my season ended the way they did, and all they could complain about is Joel Embiid got robbed for the MVP. Instead of worrying about what happened in their series and losing and started losing against Miami, they were worried about Joel Embiid not winning a single title of an MVP, voting. It doesn't matter.
Right, but see, you're just barking up the wrong tree with this thing because you've lost all perspective. You're forgetting Philadelphia is the Indianapolis Colts of the NBA. They love to hang up runner-up banners. They just want the individual awards. They have never won shit, but we love saying that we've won something. So MVP.
Trust the process, everybody.
Well, Indianapolis Colts won. They have Super Bowls, okay? So it's
no, they have Super Bowl.
Yeah, they have Super Bowls. I mean, Johnny.
Oh, one Super Bowl.
Didn't they win?
They won only one with Peyton Manning, and then they won one with Johnny Unitas.
Johnny Unitas, so they have two.
As the Baltimore.
Yeah, that
Colts.
doesn't count. That was before they allowed the rest of the league to play.
Oh, stop.
No, that was actually the year. That was the year after.
They still won one.
The merger. That was the first year after the merger.
When was Philadelphia? When did Philadelphia win a championship?
The Sixers' last one was with Dr. J. That was '83, I think.
Yeah, long time ago, forever ago. They've never won anything. No one watching this team now knows that they won anything.
I mean,
all the people that saw that team win, they're all dead. That's how. That's how.
1983. I don't know about that, but
they're all
yeah,
dead.
I get your
Yeah,
point,
no.
Jeff.
No, anyone that saw that team play, they are all dead. Because if you've ever been to Philly, violent town, they
Oh yeah. Yeah. What was the riot back then? Who knows?
Look, it looks like St. Louis is going to eliminate Minnesota.
Oh my God, yeah. Wow, 4-0 now.
4-0 going into the third period. There's 1 minute and 24 seconds left in the second. So I think St. Louis is moving on. Could you imagine it's St. Louis and Boston again in the championship, in the NHL championship, Stanley Cup championship?
It would be over for them. It wouldn't even be close. Do you know why?
Why?
Everybody loves Swayman.
Everybody loves Swayman. I think it'll be a good series.
Swayman is the new Bennington. He's just going to be that. Just run with it.
Right. That's right. We gotta get that tall, freakish dude and the old couple that played Ray Romano's parents. It's going to be the same as everybody loves Raymond, except without Ray Romano. It's going to be Jeremy Swayman with that idiot brother and the old lady mom. Everybody loves Swayman.
Well, we all know you like Seinfeld, so.
Love Simon. Love Simon.
I know you
Seinfeld,
do.
That's not everybody loves Swayman.
Everybody loves Swayman. What did Snug say over here?
It's not coming up for me.
Ask Jim Irsay about have giant bags of opioids. That dude is a good time waiting to happen.
You know he loves to party when you get pulled over and there's $100,000 worth of pills in your trunk.
Is that what they found in his trunk?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Why do you think he got arrested?
I don't know.
Of course. He loves to party and have a good time.
Loves to pop his pills, huh?
Yeah, he definitely does.
He's a pill popper.
Go ahead and Google that arrest and find out how many Oxycontins he had in his trunk.
He must have got it from the doctors that work at his facility.
No, that's also why he got arrested.
Well, where did he get it?
Dude, he was doctor shopping and just had a bunch of doctors give him prescriptions, but that's illegal.
Yeah, prescriptions are not prescribed for. Yeah, that'll do it.
Well, maybe that's how they found that. Maybe that's how they found to have all those Oxycontins.
You can't walk into a pharmacy with 30 slips for Oxycontin and go, "Can you fill all of these?" and not have someone go,
"Yeah,
what's wrong here?"
Well, Snug says drugs aren't a problem as long as you can afford them.
Well, we know he can afford them. That's a whole other problem. Maybe he should just start hanging out with Jerry Jones.
Snug, could you imagine Snug being a dad, sitting down and talking with his son or his daughter?
I absolutely could. He's a gentleman, and I'm sure he would bring.
I'm sure he will. Don't worry, son. You could do whatever you want. Just do it outside your home.
Snug's first, he would give his kid little cupcakes before he even had teeth.
First of all, let me just put you on something.
Mm-hmm.
You are. This is Snug or anyone that's listening. You are a successful parent if you just don't raise them to be a Cowboys fan.
Well, we know he won't do that.
So hold on one second. So as long as I don't raise my kids to be a Cowboy fan, they're winners.
Absolutely. You're or at least you're giving them a head start in life because you're already starting them as a winner by not letting them root for losers.
Here, son, you see this? This is the technology. The last time they won a Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah.
Listen to this guy say Dak Prescott's going to win 3 straight Super Bowls and how crazy he is.
And Zeke Elliott's better than Bowie Sandor.
Snug says,
I love the Rangers.
thank you, Jeff. You are a kind gentleman who is both funny and wise.
Beyond my ears. Wise beyond my ears.
You guys,
Snug knows.
you guys might as well sit next to each other in the same friggin' bathroom and talk to one another. I mean, seriously.
Honestly, that would be great. I would love to sit there and hold his hand because it would be the hand of God.
The hand of God. You and Snug, the hand of God. Could you imagine these guys?
Snug's a genius. Snug's
Could you imagine Snug and Jeff sitting next to each other and making decisions for the world? Could you imagine that?
I don't know. I
Snug, how big is your dump? We'll decide how much money this state is going to get.
Yeah, and by the way, it's not taking a dump. It's called taking a Tyler.
No.
Taking a Tyler. Oh. That's sad for
With,
Tyler.
with his Big Mac smoothie or whatever. It was his drink of choice.
Yeah.
Is that what he likes to drink?
No, that's what Jeff was referencing as his favorite drink.
That's what I said. It was his drink of choice.
He
He buys 2 Big Macs and blends them together.
He likes his strawberry Hennessy. That's what he likes.
And also there's
Give me
Jarvis
some
Green.
strawberry Henny.
And also there's
Think about
Jarvis
what
Green.
kind of child you are to want to drink cognac, but it has to be strawberry flavored.
Well, it obviously messes him up because he loves it. I mean, I don't know.
There's a commercial for not drinking Hennessy. Look what it does to your hairline.
Don't drink Hennessy because this is what it does to your hairline.
Right. This is your face on Hennessy.
Snug says a Big Mac milkshake. Tasty.
That's disgusting.
Right.
No, I wouldn't do that either.
Like think about that commercial, honestly. Like, you know, the whole war on drugs thing in the 80s with the Reagan thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, they had to scare you by saying, oh, this is your brain and this is your brain on drugs. And you had to imagine what the drugs were doing to your brain. There's no imagining what Hennessy does to you. Tyler looks horrific.
I mean, this Jerry Jeudy story is an interesting story, man.
He's a dummy. And again, and once again, by the way, this is why the Broncos are never successful. He's always hurt, and now he's in trouble. And what is it with Alabama wide receivers?
Gerard.
We're triggering Mark. No, Gerard's the Auburn fan too. He wouldn't be as triggered.
Oh, Gerard will be sticking up for the Alabama guys. He will. He will.
Right, but we listen. One thing is one thing, and whatever. Dude, it's a lot of things with these Alabama. Dude, Tim Williams got in charge.
Yeah.
Remember when Tim Williams?
Yeah, I wanted him for the Giants in the second round, and then all the crap happened with him.
Gun charge, and it all fell apart for him. His whole life falling apart, right? You know, you got the speed demon there hitting people at 180 miles an hour or whatever it was, right?
You got Rolando McClain, all the stuff he did.
Right. There's a lot of. What is it with these Alabama players?
Well,
there's a pattern here.
It's Urban Meyer and Mr. Greatest of all time over there.
Listen,
so maybe NFL players think, okay, we survived this disciplinary measure of Nick Saban. Now we'll just do reckless things.
I mean, seriously, look at all the great coaches. Look at all of them. Look at who they've brought to their team and their organization. Look what they've done as they move forward in their careers. I mean, seriously.
At what point do we call them the Cowboys of Tuscaloosa?
Well, they don't do it. They don't do it to hinder themselves on the field as much. They actually win. The guys do it when they get drafted more often than not. And the difference is also Nick Saban in the NFL also didn't have anger management problems and kick your opposing kicker, now causing him to sue the organization.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, he should get every penny of that.
He should. I hope he does.
He's going to.
Oh,
he's 100% going to.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing that people forget about the NFL, right? And they lose all stream of consciousness because it's just a game. You play just a game. It's a workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Name a workplace, a single workplace outside of MMA, because that's literally the description of the job. It's to pick people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Name a workplace where it's acceptable to do that.
Mm.
You can't do it. He's for sure going to win.
He'll probably win. He'll settle. He's not going to win all of it, but he'll settle.
But he's also suing Urban Meyer and the Jaguars organization too.
Yeah.
So that's going to be even more.
Right, because here's the problem. He's going to get every penny of that, right? And Shad Khan's probably just going to happily pay it because here's the thing. He's going to win. And he's going to get every dollar because all that money is money that was like left on his contract.
Yeah.
And you can honestly say, oh, I got let go because this guy abused me and I didn't like it.
Right. He had 1 year left on the deal too, which he would have made, I think, $4 million on the last year of his contract. Not to mention there were also performance incentives too, which before this year he was a top 10 kicker, so he was on pace to probably do that again. So he lost all that money, and then he loses 12 weeks worth of game checks too, because he only played 4 games last year. Then he signed late in the season with the Steelers practice squad.
Yeah, and the per diem. He lost that money, so he's going to get every penny of that. I think it's what 3.3 he's suing for.
Yeah. He's suing him initially for 3.5, and again because the money
He could give me, $20,000. I'll be happy with that.
but the money that's combined might even add up to even more from what I was reading.
The difference is Josh Lambo has talent, Errol, so he's probably going to get it.
Yeah, well, so he was a top 10 kicker. Hey, he was a top 10 kicker once he left the Chargers.
And
but he's going to get it. Name a workplace where it's acceptable just to walk by someone and kick them. MMA, and that's basically the list.
MMA, yes. We've seen football. We've seen football players do it.
You have not.
Yes, we have.
No, you haven't.
We haven't seen football players kick other players during a football game.
Yes, like that. You've never seen a coach in a practice kick a player. Never. There were players talking about it going, boy, I wish he would have. Because, dude, go look at the Shannon Sharp thing. Shannon Sharp did a whole thing where he's like, dude, you kicked me. He's like, I'd have beat the shit out of the coach. He's like, coaches need to have respect for the players. They might yell at him and whatever, and that's acceptable and whatever. You don't put your hands on a player. Look at how big of a deal it was when Latrell Sprewell choked out what's his nuts?
PJ, the coach.
Yeah, PJ like Carlissimo.
It
was the biggest story in the world. Why? Because he choked them out during a practice.
And then he went to the Knicks. Figure that one out.
Yep.
Right. But just think about that. Now it's role reversal. It's your superior at work, right? Your boss kicking you. That's not it's not allowed.
You know,
he's going to get every dollar of that money.
Nobody's saying that he wouldn't.
Right. And you're like, oh, but have we seen players kick other players during games? Yeah.
Yes,
you're
we
not
have.
even like you're right. We have, but you're not even coming close to like what actually happened. You're comparing apples and oranges. Someone in the middle of combat and they get out of hand.
Hold on one second.
Trash talking. Yeah.
Hold on one second, Jeff. We've seen in the middle of playoff games, defensive coaches stick out their foot and try to trip players when they're on the field.
Where in this whole scenario where Josh Lambo got kicked, was it in a game?
I'm sorry?
So take out the whole game scenario. Wasn't in a game. Okay, so let's go back. This is what I'm saying. It's apples and oranges with you. You're trying to.
No, because we don't know what happens in the practices for any of these sports. Just because it doesn't come out doesn't mean they don't exist.
I guarantee you, if someone had kicked or hit someone in practice, we would know about it.
I guarantee you that's not true.
Players. No coaches assaulting players.
First of all, Jeff, and I'm not going to sit here and argue with you, but here's the thing. Just because a coach kicks a player doesn't mean that the other player thought that it was him being aggressive and trying to hurt him. Kicking somebody in the ass.
And by the way, it could have hurt him because
why?
You know what Josh Lambo was doing when he got kicked?
What?
He was stretching. You're stretching and someone comes by and kicks you?
Right.
Listen, Jeff. Again, it's all here. He said, she said type of thing. You don't know what the truth is. There's no video on it. There's no video that's.
I mean, there were other players.
So what? So what? They said they kicked him, but maybe they could have said it was a love tap. Maybe he was just kidding around. They were playing a joke. They were playing a joke on each other. There could be a lot of things. There could be a lot of things that have been said.
Not with what he said as he did it. He's like, you keep kicking like that, you're going to find yourself on the street. And he kicked him.
Yeah, and remember also.
And by the way, Urban Meyer hasn't refuted the whole thing.
Yeah, and he also had the anger management issues too with the other coaches too. So that wouldn't surprise me if he came out enraged like that. Lambeau, like I said before, that was a top 10 kicker in terms of like from probably 2018 to 2020 pretty steadily since he got to the Jaguars. So that performance drop off, yeah, it happens with kickers sometimes. So I don't know, maybe it would have happened at some point, but he was a really good kicker. It's not like he was just an average kicker.
And here's the other part of it that's hilarious too. Even if Urban Meyer did deny it, right? He's already been a documented liar by saying, "Oh, I never knew about my assistant coach and using his wife."
Oh yeah.
There was text messages talking about it, and he only acknowledged that he got those text messages, got caught in that lie after those text messages came out. Urban Meyer is full of shit and can go suck a donkey's dick. Urban Meyer sucks. I believe every word of what Josh Lambeau said, and none of anything of what Urban Meyer would ever say.
I also believe that Urban Meyer weighed out his welcome. You know, I didn't think it was going to last that long. I didn't, and even his draft that last year when he was drafting,
wore out his welcome after 5 weeks.
Yep,
6 weeks.
Absolutely. I don't think he wanted to be there. He just took it where the money was, and he wanted to show people that he could be successful in the NFL. But when he realized it's going to take a lot more work than what he thought it was,
he's too much of an egomaniac.
Yeah, it wasn't for him, and that's why he walked away from it.
You knew it wasn't going to go his way when he said, "Oh man, every week it's like playing Alabama." Yeah, and you've never beaten Alabama.
He just didn't want to be there, and he just wanted to take the money.
It was too hard. It shows what kind of school Ohio State is. They love beating up on Purdue, and they love beating up Illinois and Rutgers and all of the, while respectable schools, not great football programs, right? And he loves doing all of that. He loves scheduling Troy State because they can't fight back. And then, when it's a little tough, he doesn't like it so much because he's like every week's like playing Alabama. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it not playing the girls from the School of the Blind? Oh, that's tough.
Meanwhile, Ohio State now is actually scheduling harder out of conference games now that he's gone.
Of course, as they should.
Yeah,
everyone's going to be doing it.
Yeah,
everyone's going to be doing it. I think that's part of the. Listen, if I had a complaint about college football, I love me some college football. But if I had a complaint about college football, I don't believe that schools should be allowed to make their own schedules.
Errol brought up his drafts too. I think there was one of our guests that also said too, like he was only drafting outside of Trevor Lawrence as the number one pick. He was only drafting guys that had some kind of ties to him. Either he recruited or he coached with one of the assistant coaches was the head coach there or something like that at that particular school.
I don't see that as a bad thing. Right?
No, I didn't. This wasn't our words. This was one of our guests. I forget who it was, but he was reaching because of that.
Right, but I don't think he was reaching. I don't think you're reaching. Trevor Lawrence, not a reach. Travis Etienne, not a reach. Right? Like, you've got to be an exceptional talent.
We don't know what Etienne's going to be. We don't know.
I like Etienne too, but there were other things they needed at that time too. They have James Robinson, who's a good running back too. They didn't really need to draft another one in the first round.
But one running back doesn't make a team.
I know that, but they also needed to draft other things in the first round, not waste the first round. They could have drafted another running back in the third round to be a platoon guy.
Who is anybody to say what he thinks is going to be best for his team? Etienne was not a reach, and he was an acceptable first-round draft pick. He was an exceptional player at Clemson, just like Najee Harris, who was picked 2 picks before him, I think.
Yeah.
Right? They were exceptional
But
players.
wait a second. You said that no running back should be drafted in the first round.
Most of them not, right? They are exceptional people. Derrick Henry, perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. You need to be exceptional to be drafted in the first round as a running back. Is Breece Hall good? Sure is. I wouldn't take him in the first round. Is Kenneth Walker good? Sure is. Wouldn't take him in the first round. Yeah, running backs are not worth it. It's such a disposable position.
Right.
It is. It's a joke.
Yeah, and you're seeing now teams more platoon more often anyway. So you're getting cases where the 3 running backs used to be just a certain amount of teams. Now it's becoming a new norm. Now you still need the coaching to make that kind of thing work. But with so many teams hiring offensive coaches now, they're trying to find the value. And I think this draft's a good indicative of it too, because there was a lot of teams going for best value really early on. Errol and I were saying it last week. There weren't really a lot of reaches until the middle of the draft, really, outside of Jacksonville.
But it should be a position that's by committee, right? Because look at the teams that rely on like one person.
Yeah.
Carolina with Christian McCaffrey, and now he's always hurt, and they've run him into the ground, right? You can go the Giants, Saquon Barkley. They just ran him into the ground, right? And I know a certain Woodward
Who was just at a golf tournament with Nathan this week.
Oh, of course he was.
Right. And I know a certain woodland creature that's going to be upset about this one, right? But Zeke Elliott, the only guy, they just ran him into the ground, right? Now Tony Pollard's outperforming the $15 million man.
$15 million for a backup running back. Gotta love it.
Right, but this is why it should be a position by committee. You want guys to last a little longer and still stay productive.
Right.
You take them a little later in the draft, so you're not paying them a bunch and you can afford more of them.
Yeah, and even like not lesser running backs, but like teams are realizing that too, even if they have top running backs, getting some, I guess, insurance policies. For example, the Chargers, they saw the year that Austin Eckler had, one of the best years of any running back last year, but they still drafted Roundtree last year, and they drafted Isaiah Spiller this year. So they're still having that kind of thing in mind where they don't want to overuse Eckler for everything and wear him down year to year too. And we'll see if other teams start to catch on to that. The Colts will have to start doing that too with Jonathan Taylor. He might be the next one in that bunch because he got 300 carries last year too.
And if you looked around the league, right, there's really only one running back that can be a feature. Like there just can be, right? The rest of them and even Derrick Henry got hurt because Derrick Henry is who I'm referring to, but like the rest of them are even more fragile than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's probably the sturdiest running back in the league.
Right. I think this year was his first bad injury.
Right. But all these other people, is there a guy out there that's even worthy of being that kind of feature where like, oh, we're just going to run our whole team through you? Not really.
Yeah. And there's nobody that has like ultra durability right now that you could judge that on. We thought that with Christian McCaffrey. We thought that at certain points with Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott really wasn't injury prone.
The last 2-3 years with Christian McCaffrey, how many games has he played?
Yeah, no, he's barely played. And the first year they were really contending, so Matt Rule wasn't rushing him back. But last year when they were kind of contending for a while, they still didn't bring him back. And that has something to do with that kind of injuries, those kinds of injuries adding up. But even guys that weren't previously injury prone in the past now too are getting it earlier in their careers. And look at somebody like Dalvin Cook too. Dalvin Cook fell in the draft to the second round because of his injury concerns. I don't think he had any premature injury issues that people were red flagging him on. It was
but he had behavioral issues.
But okay,
no injuries.
All right, gotcha.
Because if you remember back in Florida State, they wouldn't let him take the team photo.
Okay,
they weren't sure he was even going to be there because he had gotten in trouble.
Okay, I didn't hear about that. That was my last year in college, so I wasn't really following it like the inside stuff as closely. But I was shocked when he fell out of the first round because of the talent he was at that time.
There's really no running back that's worthy of being a feature. There's one Derrick Henry, and that's it. And then maybe if Adrian Peterson was young again, he would be the other one, Peterson. Right?
Well, yeah, you're talking about a different era where that actually mattered, and he could just run 300 carries and carry a team to the playoffs.
First of all, you're laughing.
No, I'm not laughing. He had the greatest comeback season off an injury ever.
Yeah, he was one of the most durable people and ran hard, and he was terrific. Other than that, who's really a feature running back that's in the league? It should be by committee. Well, what? We want to give the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
No, I don't think they're going to do that even if he is healthy. The way the other random running backs always play for the Chiefs. I don't know if they'll ever do that. The Damian Williams we thought should have been Super Bowl MVP. Then you have Jerick McKinnon going off in the playoffs this year. Right? It's like
the linebackers are too big, too strong, and too fast to get hit by some of these dudes 30 to 35 times a game. You're going to get hurt.
Right.
You're going to get hurt. That's just what it is. Do you want Jordan Davis smashing into you 30 times?
I hope not for the sake of Saquon if he is a Giant, but who knows?
That dude is an 18-wheeler with the handles of a Porsche.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
Meanwhile, the Giants have some adjusted guard about to play center against him. Oh boy.
Right. He's a Mack truck with the engine of a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
and then you want to run into that dude 35 times. Good luck.
Stuck says Zeke Sanders still has 3 Super Bowls in him. I think there is going to be a line of people to suck donkey dicks after the show.
No, donkeys, huh?
And I think Earl once kicked Speedy on air when Speedy had the background music too loud.
Yes.
No,
I never kicked him.
No, you hit me with a fly swatter. That was it.
That's it. Yeah.
No, that was actually funny.
I didn't
I
I didn't really kick him or hit him.
No. He just mock hit me with a fly swatter. Or one of the softball player,
Just so everybody
the
knows
softball
that.
player we
Don't
had
throw
on the
me on
show.
the bus, Snug.
Yeah, was laughing during that.
Zeke Elliott. He's amazing.
He could run in the same offensive line as Barry Sanders and put the
it's-
same amount of numbers.
I think that's my cue for the rest of this show. Thanks, Jeff.
It's just delusional, isn't it? Like these I mean, it's just the whole thing's just a car crash.
If Errol ever bought stock into the Beeves restaurant, he should just have a bunch of plaques of all his takes.
Yeah, Zeke's better than Barry Sanders, and Dak's gonna win 3 Super Bowls. And by the way, CeeDee Lamb, he's no good, right? Like, it's just comedy. It's just comedy. Back to the woods with that kid. Send him back to the pond.
It's a pretty good movie, Back to the Woods.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible is what it is.
Jeff, thank you for calling, bud.
All right.
Jeff from Tampa. I think we got all our stuff out today.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, there is talks that the Miami Heat is interested in going after Donovan Mitchell. Honestly, I think there's a lot of other teams besides the Knicks and the Miami Heat are going to be in the sweepstakes for Donovan Mitchell. He's a sensational player. Whoever gives them the most is going to get him.
Yeah, Miami's probably the Utah might not get as much either back because Miami's got to make the
Miami's
money
only in the
work,
mix
too.
because of the whole Dwayne Wade thing. That's the only reason why. He's probably telling them to reach out and try to sell because he'll practically give Donovan Mitchell for nothing to Pat Riley so they can win a championship.
Dwayne Wade will sabotage the Utah Jazz.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, yeah, him and Pat Riley have a good relationship. I definitely would imagine that. I mean, Pat Riley fleeces people anyway, so
Yes, he does.
So why not be able to work it with a guy that used to be a player of yours that he didn't coach, but he was an executive for.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's gonna make that kind of thing work in a heartbeat. Yeah. So yeah, front office of Utah, don't let them sway you in that case. There will be better offers from the Knicks and I imagine a lot of other teams, a lot of good young players too that maybe are trying to make that leap. It probably will be in the Eastern Conference though. So you were looking at maybe Cleveland, Toronto, teams like that have a lot of young talent that could make that splash move that have young pieces to trade.
That's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back next week, Tuesday and Thursday. Listen to the Weekend Crunch on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network at 7 p.m. every single Saturday. If you don't live over here, go to iHeartRadio, and you can listen to us on 103.9 FM. Speedy, thank you to all the fans for keep tuning in. And I want to apologize. We were supposed to get Chris DeBacker on. I don't know what happened to him. We'll reach out to him. We'll get him on for sure. Thank you to Ryan Holmes for joining us. We really appreciate everything. And keep listening to us. Keep tuning into us as we move forward with our show. Until then, this is Errol Marks and Speedy PD saying good night. We'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This is Mario Andretti.